You're watching TBPN. Today is Friday, October 24th, 2025. We are live from the TBPN Ultradome, the Temple of Technology, the Fortress of Finance, the capital of capital.
And we're here with a special guest, friend of the show.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for stopping by. We wanted to have you on the show for a few reasons. We are going to run through the mansion section and get your opinion on whether these homes are worth passing up or an absolute steal at something like $50 million. So we'll be going through that in a minute.
Great.
We also wanted to hear from you what's new in Feed Me World. Do you have any scoops for us? Do you have any breaking news? Do you have any exclusives? We invited you here.
Scoop
We want some news.
Well, I've been in LA for a few days, and I got some local LA news from some of my readers because I did a pop-up for a few days to sell these new hats, which LA readers got first. Some of the people that came by had TBPN merch, which was cool.
There we go.
They're fans, so
Great.
it's good to have crossover. What news do we have? I'm hiring an intern, which you guys are saying not to say intern.
Breaking news. You heard it here first. That's why you come to us for scoops like this.
This has never been shared. She did not post about this,
No.
included in the newsletter. Or anything
It's not
like that.
breaking news until TBPN covers
right.
it.
That's
what
right.
we say.
That's right. What else can I say? Feed Me's first podcast is going live in 2 weeks. We
Okay.
had to push back the live date.
Yeah.
But
And wait, run through the thesis of the podcast. I thought it was good.
it's like it's a restaurant podcast. It's hosted by my restaurant critic. I think it'll be fun. We have this idea that there's sort of a white space in kind of. Wait, you guys don't curse, or you do?
We don't curse.
But you're welcome to.
You're welcome
if you
to.
feel like that is.
I'm not going
If you want to
I'm
be
gonna stick
the
to the
first
rules.
person to say a swear word
Right.
on our show.
Yeah, it's sort of everybody likes restaurants.
Yes.
And anybody can talk about restaurants. So we have some interesting people coming on to talk about restaurants with our restaurant critic, which will be a blast. That'll go live in 2 weeks. Thanks Substack for supporting that.
Yep.
Some other things might come up.
That'd be fun.
For the next few minutes.
Yeah, I like that it wasn't just like the Feed Me show. That was intentional,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
that would be the logical thing. Is just like
To do like Emily's show.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it could
Feed
just
Me
be
would kind of
Emily.
be a good name for a restaurant.
I know. I know.
That is hilarious.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and
Wait, do
he
you have a
was
different
like,
brand for it?
It's called Expense Account.
Okay.
Which is the same name as the restaurant column. that
Is
we've been
Ramp
doing with them.
sponsoring it? They need to.
They should. I'm having some.
Because they're
difficulty-
sponsoring us, ramp.com.
Time is money, save both.
We
Easy
love
use corporate
Ramp.
cards, bill pay, accounting, and a whole lot more, all in one place.
Yeah, they should.
Where is my single, by the way? Is it over here? Which one am I on? I'm on this one. There we go. Okay, now I found my single. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh,
Sorry.
some people read my Substack who watch this. That's so good.
Yes.
That's so great.
Only David Senra can curse on the show. You're keeping
That's
it
true.
clean. Okay. Well, we are about to understand the landscape of the restaurant world thanks to your new podcast.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Which is called
Expense Account.
Expense Account.
Account.
But the real reason that we wanted to have you on the show was to help us understand the media landscape.
There's been a lot of debate,
There's
right?
been a lot of debate.
There's been a lot of talk. You
There's
have Paramount Skydance.
Yep.
You have the Free Press
Yep.
starting a conversation. You have Media people like to talk about media.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about media.
Also, I think people have just simplified things way too much. They try and break it down into a binary. Are you legacy media or new media, right?
Right.
Are you legacy media or new media? We all know it's way more complicated than that.
And people like to say if you can't explain something in simple terms, you don't understand it.
Yes.
But that doesn't apply here.
Today we will do it. So
we are going to break it down. We have a market map.
Market map, yeah, sort of market map. I'm going to kind of walk us through a little bit of it, get feedback from Emily and Jordy and Tyler. And if we get anything wrong, take it up with Tyler because he's the one that created this.
Made this graphic. So if there are any errors on it, you know where to go.
We have to start with the mainstream media. What is the mainstream media? Arguably the
What is-
I think it's the best stream. Because if you were to pick a stream to do media in, would you want to be in the main one or some alternative one? You want to be in the mainstream. Ideally, I think everyone is on the march to become the mainstream media.
Yes.
But mainstream media is broken down into several subsections. You have the legacy media and the traditional media.
And why don't you explain the difference? Because a lot of people would say they're the same thing. But
a lot of it comes down to the aesthetics. The aesthetics of, you're seeing serif fonts, the New York Times, the Washington Post. When you go over to Fox News, BBC, CNN, you're getting something that feels like it is fighting for its life.
It looks like TV.
It looks like TV. It looks like TV. I need a little bit more on my lab is really doing a number. There we go. Okay. Is that better? Can you guys hear me okay? I got really caught up on
this is your Sam Hyde bit. Sam Hyde's TED Talk.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so there is a continuum of, there's a gradient that exists between legacy and traditional. CNBC right in the middle, you have Forbes, you have the Financial Times, and you can kind of tell that as you get towards Business Insider, CNN, you're more in the legacy world.
You're kind of in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone. David Ellison might be kind of licking his chops.
Yep.
Saying, oh, maybe I'll take you over at some point.
Yep.
David Ellison, he's not going to make a play for the Wall Street Journal, for the Washington Post, for the New York
And
Times.
part of
These are traditional media
traditional
outlets.
means that you can actually get it via newspaper, right?
Yes, that is key. So
that's a factor.
a lot of people will put the split divide of like your new media if you have a blog.
Right.
Or your legacy media if you print it out. But we forget that there is a whole host of mainstream media outlets that do not print out their work. They do not ship a newspaper. And so most of the newspapers you'll see, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, the New York Times, those are in the traditional media.
Economist, another
Yes,
one.
The Economist,
Atlantic.
another one, Atlantic. Yes. So this is really the heart and soul, the beating pulse of the mainstream media. But you also have offshoots from each of these areas. So you have the post-trad.
Let's talk about
media.
post-trad and why I see this little number right here, Bloomberg.
Bloomberg is moving over into post-trad media. Obviously, that's on the back of Tracy Alloway, Joe Weisenthal with the Odd Lots podcast. You can think of that as the classic post-trad media. What?
And Tracy.
Yeah, I said Tracy.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Tracy Alloway and Joe Weisenthal at the Odd Lots podcast are a great example of post-trad media where they come from traditional media, but they have been so early to the podcasting game. They're, what, a decade in? Isn't it a decade?
I think so.
Yeah.
They're a decade into that. And so they jumped on
Bloomberg was really an
early.
experiment, from
Yes.
Michael Bloomberg to what if I could just be the news? What if I could create the news?
Yes, and so
maybe some frustrations with traditional media and, saying, why not me, right?
Yes. And so you can see him he's slightly less traditional than the New York Times. But still,
Kind of in that, squarely in that post-trad region.
We also have proto-media. I'm not exactly sure why Dig and Hacker News wound up there. More just like early online efforts that weren't really trying to play in, these weren't trying to be traditional media corporations, media organizations. They weren't telling a story about being new media in any way. They were sort of the proto.
But you could almost put Reddit here. We're missing Reddit in some ways, but Reddit
yes.
was trying to be the front page of the internet to kind of curate stories.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably go all the way up here and add social media and TikTok and stuff. But we want to stay on the media outlets, the folks who really proclaim that they are the media, right? And so over here we have the post-legacy media. And this is a crew of former legacy media folks who have now ventured out into Substack and YouTube.
Substack and Substack.
Would you
and Substack.
argue that a few years ago, Barry, like the Free Press, would have been there too, and they
Post-legacy?
sort of moved?
Well, I think Barry's way down. If I remember correctly, she's in more of the legacy
She's
new
in the
media.
legacy
so she
new
was new media.
Yes.
But
So the
now
bi-
she's in the legacy new media bucket.
So if you're wait, what are these guys? Post legacy. So post legacy is where you were up until recently, like in
A part
the
of the
2020s.
legacy or traditional media.
If you worked for the legacy media in the 2020s, like Alex Heath at Verge, which isn't exactly legacy media, but at Forbes.
legacy new
and,
media.
And obviously Bloomberg with Ashley Vance. If you were working with the legacy media, you didn't jump ship in the 90s. You didn't jump ship in the 2000s. You didn't jump ship in the 2010s. You rode it all out.
the mid 2020s.
And then the mid 2020s, you were like, okay, this legacy media thing isn't working for me anymore. I got to go out.
That's where we
and do
get
my own thing.
Ashley Vance and Bloomberg here. So this kind of crossover.
Yes. But the Free Press, Barry left the New York Times famously, a crazy dust up, and that was in the post legacy media era.
Right
So
before that started, yeah.
Exactly.
So she used to be in the new media bucket.
Yes.
But now she sits in the legacy new media
And that's
bucket.
because there's a whole new wave of new media. And so Andreessen Horowitz is leading the charge here. They have a team that is just called New Media, which of
But
course
they-
asks the question, what were they
Fast-
doing before?
Which was their marketing team.
Yes, so they were doing media. It's not like they just started doing media. No, they just started doing new media. Their old
Recently.
media is now known as legacy new media. And so legacy new media also includes The Information, BuzzFeed, Wired, Vice, organizations that came out and said, we are going to be doing the new media thing, but they said that a decade ago, and so now it's a little bit legacy. Then you also have, of course, alt media. Vice kind of bridges these two gaps. You have the trappings of a new media organization, but with a little sharper edge. Over here, you get into the dark media.
media
You
zone.
get the Sam Hyde, the Curtis Yarvins, the Passage Press, of course. We still haven't figured out where Feed Me goes.
Well,
will
we'll do that at the
have to do
end.
this at the end, but we can move over to
Neo-alt.
alt media.
You have the Adam Friedlands.
Yes. So you still have some of the edginess, some of the rebel spirit of your Vice magazines, your Red Scares, but obviously newer products, newer media products
Yeah.
launched more recently. Then you also have new media with the NU. That, of course, is media that covers new metal. So anyone who's, if you're writing a blog about Limp Bizkit or POD or Slipknot,
That
or
obviously
Korn,
goes in the new media
so if
category.
you were to build kind of like the Free Press for Korn fans, you would go in new media, NU, not NEW media.
And of course, we have to talk about the post-corporate media
Yes.
category. Chapo Trap House, obviously fitting in there.
It's a very funny choice to put that there, but obviously anti-corporate. Sometimes socialist, sometimes communist, sometimes left-wing, but distinctly anti-corporate. You're not going to run a lot of ads on a post-corporate media property. Then
But
have
you
the-
might curse some people.
Oh,
You might
yes,
hire
yes,
some
yes,
people
that's
on
Which
it.
is, yeah.
That's possible. Now we do have the post-neo media. So as you think traditional media, legacy media, regular media, new media, neo media is the newest.
Neo-trad, which we'll get to in a little.
Post-neo media, you can think of it as the most accelerated, the most aggressive, the final, the most cutting-edge media properties that are out there. We have Martin Shkreli. He just turns on a live stream. It doesn't.
He goes
feel
for
like a
hours and
media
hours and
company.
hours and hours.
It's not a media company. It's not a TV show. It's
And he's moving.
straight.
He's moving markets, right?
Exactly. Then you have I Show Speed, Mr. Beast, other examples of post-neo media creators. You, of course, have had the expert media sphere
Yeah.
with
So
Andrew
of
Huberman,
course, Lex Friedman,
Joe
AI
Rogan.
expert, Joe Rogan, UFO expert,
Yes,
and then
yes, yes.
Andrew Huberman, of course.
And
friend
then
of
we have the
show.
neo-factual media, more of the analysts focused on the actual truth, one of the really the only truth-seeking organizations on the map in general. Where are we? Let's over
zoom out.
to, so traditional media, we know, traditional media, you're printing things out, you're making traditional content, you're instantiating your ideas in traditional ways, and the neo-trads are doing this in a new way. And so
This is new media
Yes.
that cosplays as traditional media.
Exactly.
So that's TBPN, right? It has some of the aesthetics of an ESPN.
Yes.
But it looks and feels.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you to the production team. I'm glad you guys like the show.
Yes.
It's good. And so Colossus is another good example here. They're obviously Neo. You know, if you look on this map, what is Colossus? There was a debate last week, right?
Yes.
This is part of what started the debate. What is Colossus? Are they writing profiles? You know, is this journalism? And we just immediately thought this is obviously, you know, neo-trad media. There's no other way to look at it.
Yes.
This is traditional print media reborn for the modern era.
Yes, and specifically, you wind up getting a lot of attention in neo-trad media from the old media, from the mainstream media, from the legacy media, because you are wearing traditional media clothing. So Arena magazine, it's a
Kind of
physically
sitting
printed out
squarely
magazine.
between post-trad and neo-trad.
And so if you are the editor of Forbes or Fortune magazine has done a cover story on Josh Kushner. Colossus magazine just did a cover story on Josh Kushner, and they printed it out, and it's a physical magazine, and so it feels much more like a direct attack and a comparable product, as opposed to if Colossus was just a Substack, the editor of Forbes, the editor of Fortune, they would be able to say, well, that's just a Substack. What makes us special is we print ours out and mail it.
Would you
to
ever
people.
do a daily print newspaper?
Daily print? I don't think so, but I would do weekly. Daily print, there's so many hands involved and like material.
No,
and
but
getting
if
it
you
to
just
places.
geofence it to New York, Manhattan, you could have little people in Feed Me outfits. running
Yeah, or I
around.
guess the other thing people do, I don't know if you guys remember this paper during COVID called The Drunken Canal, which was like a downtown gossip paper that they put in the newspaper stand boxes
That's
around
right.
the city. But that was maybe 4 times a year or something. But that was really fun because you couldn't really find the content online. It created some tension around
What
discovery.
were they going to publish?
Yeah.
So then we have
Yeah.
neo-corporate media. These are like obviously from a corporation that does something that's not media. You have the AWS Developer Tools blog. Let's give it up for them. Some of the greatest content. You have the OpenAI podcast, Cheeky Pint, which sort of dresses up as neo-trad in many ways, but also is fully owned and operated by Stripe, a corporation. Then you have the neo-conglomerate media. This is whatever David Ellison is working on, we believe.
David and
But
Larry.
I
David
want
and Larry.
you to take me through.
We forgot we could have added UFC as part of
Yeah.
this new neo-conglomerate.
You
But
can
then we
update
also
it.
have
That's
the
something-
East
you can
Coast.
always update it.
Yeah, the East Coast Underground. You'll have to explain everything in this section.
Yeah, we weren't familiar with
we're
this.
familiar
What's going
with-
on?
You guys know New York Magazine. Come on.
Well, yeah, from the Andrew Huberman
Is
hit
that
piece.
is that the New Yorker magazine?
No.
Is that the New York Times magazine?
No.
Is that the New Yorker's New York magazine?
New Yorker
New
is
York
part of
Poster?
Condé Nast.
Okay.
Okay.
New York Times Magazine is part of,
The New York Times.
correct? And New York Magazine is something else.
Who's it owned by?
And is it supported by like the city?
It's under
the
Vox.
Wait,
well,
they
Vox
should
owns it now.
nationalize it. Mamdani, let's do it.
Yeah,
New
I mean
York
that's a
needs a
big one.
magazine.
You guys should probably know about that one.
I feel like I love New York Magazine because to come out with a magazine, when the New York Times already has a magazine and the New Yorker has a magazine, and you're just like, you know what? New York needed a magazine. That's something that we would say.
It's the best one. That's the one where I worked.
Yes. It does seem cool, and I feel like when you see a New York Mag profile, it is great.
Oh my God, it's great.
Yeah.
It's
They have their
great.
own special flavor that's not quite the New Yorker. It's not quite the New York Times Magazine.
Right. It's
Cut
the New
their
York.
own.
It's New York
It's
Magazine.
New York Mag.
Yeah.
NY Mag. Okay, so why are these so underground?
You guys have never
Why
heard.
do-
Okay, you've heard of Puck because you've been on Dylan's podcast.
Yes.
But Tyler, our intern, has not heard of Puck.
Okay.
And he's heard of all of these other
You haven't heard of
outlets.
Hellgate. You wouldn't know about. That's more of like a New York left-leaning.
Tyler, do you know
politics.
Semaphore?
No,
Okay. Do you know
Yeah.
Status?
no.
Status was started by Oliver Darcy, and he came from CNN, I believe. So
Darcy.
like we should move him maybe over there. But
Okay,
something that's
may-
interesting that's happening is some people are logos and some people are faces.
Yeah.
Like you guys chose to put TBPN as your logo,
Yeah.
and I'm curious. I'm happy that Feed Me is not my face and it's my
Okay.
logo.
We want the brand to grow.
But Feed Me is starting to become more of a platform.
Platform company.
Bingo.
Yeah. I would
Thank
put
God.
you. Yeah.
Where
I
we
think-
we left off Punch Bowl. Punch Bowl.
Oh,
should be
Punch
on
Bowl,
there.
yeah. I mean, they're ex Politico, right?
Okay, so what I'm actually hearing is that East Coast Underground is really sort of a further post-trad, post-legacy. Maybe they're post-legacy.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are post-legacy. I think the difference between
Post-trad.
them and like an Alex is a lot of them have raised like tens of millions of dollars to get their things off the ground.
Okay,
But
so they're
they're
thinking about it
newsletter
more as
businesses.
but so they're thinking less independent media.
We needed a
more-
category for heavily VC backed.
Yeah, you
Yes.
really do. You really
Yes.
do. Because we're going to be watching how those play out in the next few years or months.
Yes. Well, are there any major corrections that you think we should make? Do you think we got any of this wildly wrong?
No, I mean, it's really interesting that you guys, the East Coast Underground thing, because those are the publications
Yes.
that people are like wringing their hands. Is that like going
Sure.
crazy over in New York City?
Sure.
And maybe your audience is,
I definitely think these folks need to be over here.
yeah, I think we can redistribute the Underground.
Yes. Because you can basically see it goes like.
I mean, New York
there's
Magazine's not
less
Underground,
tech, more tech here, and then politics is kind of running through this way. But then over here you have some tech, and then over here you have some tech.
Yeah,
Like,
these can be
these
sort of
two should be kind of
redistributed.
next to each other.
Status I would call post-legacy, but
Okay. But it's almost like there's some difference because these were started 5-10 years ago, correct? Like Puck is not this year. Puck didn't start this year,
Puck
right?
started, I think, like 3 years ago.
Oh, 3 years ago. Okay, that is pretty recent.
And they've
It's not
raised
quite
like
as recent
20
as
million.
It's not quite as recent.
And they
as
also
the-
just acquired Airmail, which was Graydon Carter's sort of
Can you hit this?
luxury
Can you hit the gong
magazine.
for Puck for raising 20 million?
But the big story with Puck right now is that they just acquired Airmail.
Okay.
What's
they're-
Airmail?
Who's that?
Graydon Carter,
Yeah.
the great editor of Vanity Fair.
Okay.
There we go. So he's
Do you
more.
know-
he was.
do you know
was-
about
was
that?
Airmail in the post-legacy media.
Airmail is something else. I mean, it still is. It's still in existence, but
Yeah.
it's sort of like you go. It's very luxury. So it's like this is what happened in this resort in Sweden. This is like the crazy 1,000-word story about it, and every sort of 20 words there's a big Hermes ad. So it's like
Amazing.
yeah, but it's
Let's
they have
give it
paid
up for Hermes.
subscribers.
Zach Meyer in the chat says, "I think this needs to be 3-dimensional to better illustrate the
Yeah.
relationships."
I agree. Okay, well, that concludes.
Well,
our
I'm glad we could
lecturing
clear
board.
up the media landscape because there's been so much debate lately, and sometimes you need to, expand in order to really help.
I mean, we were joking about this being completely schizo, but I think
didn't
we
have
have something.
Barstool.
Yeah, we got to add Barstool. Okay, let's make some notes. We'll do a V2 before
Yeah.
we release the next iteration, but we'll get something there. Let's go through the mansion section. I want some advice on what is a buy, what is a sell. Before we do, let me tell you about Restream.com. One live stream, 30 plus destinations, multi-stream to reach your audience wherever they are. You said that you were interested to talk about Carl Icahn's NYC penthouse. Is that correct? Are you familiar with
the
this?
Carl Icahn pasta at
No.
the restaurant? I think it's like 2 blocks from his house.
Oh, yeah.
There's this restaurant called, I think it's called Il Tonello. It's an Italian restaurant, and they have like a $20 Carl Icahn pasta. I looked this up recently.
Only 20.
Yeah, because it's not exciting. It's like it's like a very simple pasta, but he ordered
But,
it a
I
lot.
guess
so
that's
I
cool.
think one of the things, if you buy there, you can sort of like always take friends to that place and sort of get into, well, you know who used to own my apartment?
Who?
Carl Icahn. Like
No
you
way.
can do that every time.
Oh, if you live there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's, neighborhood. You can have maybe rename the pasta if you move there,
Icahn has also entertained numerous corporate giants at the apartment, including computer titan Michael Dell, Apple CEO Tim Cook, Netflix co-founder Reed Hastings.
How
would
big is
extend. He was hanging out with Dell. It was pretty fun. It's a $23 million property. Let me see.
How many square feet?
People are liking the lifestyle news. You guys should talk about restaurants more.
We should. The apartment has
no
views
business
around the
talking about
city,
restaurants.
including Central Park, a dramatic double-height foyer, has a circle staircase, 250 units. I'm not sure how big this is. Oh, okay. It is 14,000 square feet. and it's a combination. Why is that? Why is that sad? That's huge for Manhattan. That's massive. 14,000 square feet is the combination of 3 apartments that were purchased over 40 years, and so he slowly built this like larger
It's on
and
56th
larger.
or 53rd.
Does that make a difference?
Well,
Is that material? Like, would you know Manhattan that well to know?
I would hope so. I would hope you know it that well.
I know it that well.
I don't know the difference. So it is on the apartment atop Museum Tower on Manhattan's West 53rd Street, spans the 51st and 52nd floors. It has 14,000
That's a
square
buy.
feet. You think that's a buy?
buy.
Yeah.
Got a buy rating.
So Carl Icahn has said the billionaire is unsure why his beautiful apartment on West 53rd Street hasn't found a buyer yet. You think you agree with that take? It doesn't make sense. Somebody needs to step up.
Yeah.
For
Somebody
23.
will step up after this
It's a
story,
steal. Okay, so you could get 153rd Street, 14,000 square foot apartment, or you
I like
could
that
get.
they say in the story that
I mean,
he's,
so
like,
here's the
confused
thing.
by
So
when we'll buy
he
it.
had a Hindenburg research report
On him?
on
his apartment?
empire, on his empire, and so I think. And Puck has an article here. I just searched Carl Icahn fall off, and Puck pulls up
Fall off.
Carl Icahn on how to lose 20 billion. So I think people don't want to buy the apartment because
bad luck.
they're worried about negative aura.
But you call a priest, you get some sage, you just sort
Sage
of,
it up.
Okay,
That's
okay.
every apartment in New York.
So for 23 million, it's fixable. You can make it work. Okay, what about this Del Mar beach house for $50 million? This one was actually sold. I can hold it up here. A beachfront compound with a ping pong pavilion. Are you pro ping pong?
Sure, yeah.
Rank
Ping pong
these.
kind of fell off.
Rank these paddle sports: ping pong, padel. What's the other one called?
I don't like
Pickleball.
sports that were invented in the last 10
pickleball, and then
years.
tennis.
Yeah, tennis is
rank
top.
those 4. Tennis is the top.
Yeah.
And then ping pong.
Yeah.
And then
Padel.
Padel.
And what's the other
pickleball.
one?
And then pickleball's at the bottom.
Yes.
Pickleball, it just has a terrible name.
I
brand.
know.
Like the word doesn't sound good. Oh, here's the picture of the house. So 50 million. It has 6,000 square feet, 7 bedrooms. How would you rank this? I will keep giving you extra information.
Where is Del Mar?
Basically, Del Mar
Mar's
is
in
in San Diego County. It is.
That's really
probably
not
the
my
most-
kind of place, but
No?
yeah, what's
It's
pulling
kind of the
people to
Hamptons
live
of
there?
Los
It's
Angeles.
kind of a brutal view.
Don't
from
say
the-
that.
It's kind of
It's
a brutal. Look how
it's like
brutal.
a better
the-
Hamptons.
Don't say that.
Like if someone was like from first principles, let's just make the Hamptons better, they would come up with Del Mar.
But look how brutal the view is from the pool. You're
I
not
don't think
getting
this was
anything.
the best photo they could have ran.
You can see the beach.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is an
Oh,
odd
yeah. I
photo.
can see the beach behind the staircase and like through this little sliver.
Oh, so are you an infinity pool guy? You want the
of
pool
course.
straight out to the
Of
ocean?
course.
Okay. The seller is a limited liability company tied to Sandra Nafsker, whose family has been major cattle ranchers over a century in Arizona, California, and Oregon. Land family.
maxing.
Land maxing.
Land
We're
is the
big into
most
land.
underrated asset.
Completed last year, the oceanfront compound first came on the market for $75 million. But the price has been reduced. It finally sold for $50 million. The listing agent said it's a remarkable sale for San Diego coastal real estate agent. The
This is
property
not my kind of
includes a
house.
4,500 square foot main house.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
somebody would
I
have
agree
to
with
pay you
It
quite a
is-
lot to live there,
It is
right?
crazy to
That's
get.
not my kind of beach, and that's not my kind of house.
It's crazy to get half the space, and you're in Del Mar, which is cool, but you're not in Manhattan. You would think that Manhattan would just be more expensive, and you're paying twice as much for half the space.
Yeah.
I say take Icon's property. That makes no sense to me.
What else?
What
we
about
got?
what about Hawaii? What's your take on Hawaii?
Been once.
It's the Hamptons of the Pacific. Do you agree?
The only thing I'm curious about with
Maui
Hawaii
is
is
the
I really
Hamptons.
want to visit a Zuck's ranch and meet those cows.
Okay.
Meet those cows.
You want to meet those cows specifically.
Yes.
You don't just want to see how big the property is. The cows specifically. is what's
I'm
interesting?
curious about what he's sort of doing there with he's obsessed with like breeding the perfect cow.
Yeah.
They had Zuck burgers.
Yeah.
At the MetaConnect event that we were live from, and
You
we
didn't
missed.
have one?
We just got really busy podcasting.
It's basically impossible to eat while you're streaming because you have to talk on the
But
microphone.
none of them could have put one
Did you
aside.
guys have any?
Yeah. No one had any.
Wow, missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity. So Catherine Conrad spent a decade perfecting the gardens at her Honolulu home overlooking the ocean. The estate has granite pathways that wind around a Carrara marble fountain. I don't know what that is, actually. An antique pergola cost about $40,000. Her favorite view of the garden is at night when the cypress monkey pod and flowering Tacoma trees are illuminated.
She's trying to pitch the monkey pod as a feature. But
Yeah.
It sounds like a bug.
Yeah.
You have a monkey pod. I guess that's like, it's like a cat tree
Hard
for
to
a
get people to
monkey.
visit you in Hawaii too. Like
True.
you have to
The time zone is so brutal.
It is.
Yeah, or you
mean, it's
have
painful.
neighbors you love maybe, or you meet new friends. But if you're buying in California or New York, someone's always going to be in town.
Totally,
to swing by.
totally.
I also feel like as for the celebrities out there, it really puts a target on your back when every time there's been like a natural disaster, it's like, the Rock
Because you
didn't
took all
let.
our water.
Yeah.
Well, but there was the tsunami warning last year, and they were getting really canceled for that, and then
Canceled for the tsunami.
and then the fire. Well, no, because apparently they had like private roads that everyday citizens were backed up in traffic trying to escape the tsunami, and they were not inclined to open their
Yeah,
private
it's always
roads.
going to be
so-
more controversial to buy in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Avoid.
0.8 of an acre. It was the first lot was bought for $7.55 million, then $4 million for the adjacent parcel. So you put two properties together, around $11 million in land value, then $12 million in renovation. They're asking 34. It's a 4-bedroom, 5,200 square foot house, ocean views. It also has a Pilates studio. Is that a feature for you?
I like to leave my house for Pilates.
You want to leave your house for Pilates. So at 34 million, are you buying or are you selling?
No,
You're not buying. You're passing.
passing.
What about this house in Puerto Rico? I haven't been to Puerto Rico in a very long time. Before we move on, we got to do another ad. Do you have the ads list? I don't have it today. Let me pull it up. Here we go. Sorry. Privy, wallet infrastructure for
There we
every
go.
bank. Privy helps
Good work,
makes it easy to build on crypto rails, securely spin up white label wallets,
And the crowd
sign
goes
transactions, and integrate on-chain infrastructure all through one simple API.
So,
yes.
Puerto Rico was very much a thing
Ooh,
during
all these bunk
2020.
beds.
2021.
Whoa, that is crazy.
See, they're saying, come hang out.
I have a friend
Come
who,
through.
yes, they want people to come visit. I have a friend who would refer to that as a gulag.
Yeah.
Because you get all your boys to come and visit and hang out, and they all sleep in
Surf.
bunk beds. But
Yeah.
you really could sleep 12 people there or something. So this mansion has
Is this in that-
17,000 square feet, 8 bedrooms, a basketball court, a pool. It is for sale for $65 million.
Is it in that zone? I don't know if it's the Four Seasons or there's another hotel company that has effectively set up a mini city in Puerto Rico. You know about this?
There is information about the Ritz-Carlton in here.
Oh, it's the Ritz.
Let me
That's
read it. Simon said he and his wife had little intention to buy in Puerto Rico before stopping by the Ritz-Carlton sales office in 2015. They quickly became enamored with the idea of building a house there, buying a 1-acre parcel of land on one of the community's golf courses. The parcel overlooks the ocean. It was completely impulsive. There were a few false starts. The Phallics
better
got the
pool
keys
setup.
to the new home in 2017, just before Hurricane Maria hit, closing down the resort community and resulting in minor damage, water damage to the home. Soon after the community recovered, COVID hit. In recent years, the Phallics have spent long weekends and holidays at the property, as well as several weeks in the summer. They are selling because their grandchildren are older and don't spend as much time on the property. Puerto Rico's luxury housing market has boomed in recent years thanks to tax incentives and the rise of remote work. It's become very attractive.
They undid a lot of those incentives, or there's some
You
people
had
that
to
are
have been
grandfathered
there.
in, but now they're just sort of trapped in the Caribbean.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this is a lot in the Dorado Beach,
Yeah, Dorado. That's
which
the
is a
complex.
Ritz-Carlton Reserve Resort. $65 million. Buy or pass?
Pass, but maybe try to get, I don't know if those Disney posters are coming with the house, but I feel like the posters in the film room, you could flip those
Yeah, split them
or
off.
something,
really?
you know?
Break it
The
up. Break
little-
up big Puerto Rico. And sell it for parts. We gotta talk about JP Morgan's new headquarters.
Okay.
Michael Dell shared it. I have a post pulled up here.
Oh, yes. This is peak performance.
And I wanted to get your reaction to this setup. Can we pull up this post in the timeline?
It would be great to be able to pull up posts both in the timeline and there. That's the future.
Well, that's
But
what
for
I-
now.
can we not
we'll
pull it
post
up there?
While we're pulling that up, let me tell you about Cognition. They're the makers of Devon. Devin is the AI software engineer. Crush your backlog with your personal AI engineering team.
All right, pull up this post from Liquidity.
And we'll put it on there. We don't need to put it on the back screen. We can actually just pull it on the. Yep. And while we're doing that, let me tell you about Figma.com. Think bigger, build faster. Figma helps design and development teams build great products together. You can get started for free. Did you see what else is going on here?
Would you guys buy anywhere besides California?
No.
New York eventually.
California has so much. I feel like I just want to grow the map of places I go that are driving distance.
We're both excited
Santa
about
Barbara.
Yeah, the Montecito
Montecito,
to LA or
LA,
Mallory to LA.
Marin
No,
is
too
a little
far.
far. But even Big Bear.
So you just want to buy houses close to each
Tahoe.
other?
Well,
Houses that are less than an hour away from each other.
in California, in LA specifically,
Yeah.
you can get in a car and in 2 hours be in a completely different biome.
Right.
Like you can be in the desert, or you can be in the ocean,
Yeah,
or you
yeah.
can be on an
Okay,
island.
so here's they got video footage
Wait,
of the
what?
JPM analysts going to their new workstation. This is a post from Liquidity, but pull up the post from Michael Dell that shows the actual setup here, and we need to rate my office
Did you guys hear that employees have to pay for the gym?
What?
at JPM.
Why?
There was a story about it.
I mean, I guess that's just
Does that
some
inspire them
incentive
to grind?
People were not happy. I mean, employees were not happy about it. They were like, why do we have to pay to go to this?
I guess it's just such a big organization that if you don't put some sort of limit, people will kind of all flood right on January 1st or something.
And I'm sure that they have,
it's just kind of like a flow
I'm sure that they
limiter.
have like a health account or something to
Yeah.
use towards it.
Yeah. So this is what peak performance looks like, for sure. This is beautiful. I love
I
this.
saw this setup and I
This is
I
great.
thought I want to recreate this here.
100%.
I'm down to be in the trenches.
Yes, this is what the trenches look like.
I like
The
that they have
modern day
the thing
trenches.
that new hotels have now where you have the outlets right there
Yeah.
and the desks. That's nice. We're not seeing chairs.
Imagine
and
having
a lot.
ChatGPT add up numbers for you while sitting in that setup.
So what I'm interested in is when was this taken? Because I thought they worked
I
hard.
don't think that's a real photo. That doesn't really
No,
look like a real person.
Michael Dell just posted this and said, "Congratulations, JP Morgan, on opening your new
he
headquarters."
sold them all the monitors because the monitors are Dell monitors.
I
So
think this
he's
is a
excited.
rendering.
I don't think
No
so.
way, this is real.
I think this is real.
You don't think that jawline
This
is
isn't
possible?
slop.
That's pure
Possible, it's
JPM
possible.
power.
I don't know. I have
think
to see it for myself. I emailed their team.
Even
this week.
Michael
They're-
Dell replied to his own post and said, "We are monitoring the situation."
Yeah, you don't do that on some slop. I think they finished building out the office. Michael
at
Dell
those
was excited.
beautiful-
Office
Look-
looks like slop.
Look at those beautiful Dell monitors.
I will fight you on
I
this.
need
this
those.
Is, this is
I want to go. Maybe that's where my shoe is.
that is where you're shooting. This is the spot. We're a hop, skip, and a jump
Yeah.
from the people that will actually get this
I
done.
need to go. I need to see it for myself.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. It's a
okay,
beautiful
last
building. Have you
thing.
seen it?
What?
Last thing
Have
we
you seen the
have to.
building?
No.
It's beautiful.
Oh, it's a whole new building, and it has crazy LED at the top, right? It has a crazy
Yeah.
light show. That's cool.
There's rock.
I'm down.
There's a big story about the rocks that they brought into.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson. We should bring him in. Have him do it. I feel like when you set up a new fortress of finance, you should have an inaugural lock-in, and you should bring in a Warren Buffett should come and lock in and type the first row in a spreadsheet and be like, yes, we've opened the office. Jamie Dimon himself has come and done and written the first cell of the spreadsheet, and now the office is open for business. It's like smashing a bottle of wine across a boat.
I like
Yeah.
that.
You need to christen a new office.
Let's pull up this post from none other than the New York Post, which I don't think they made it on the media landscape, but mobsters ran rigged poker games at Kylie Jenner's Lux NYC pad while she still owned it. Apparently, Travis Scott also was on the owned a piece of it too. What's going on here? You think this all ties back into the whole?
Isn't this part of the story that came out yesterday about?
I just got an email from you 19 minutes ago. You're sitting right here.
And it's crazy, right?
It's crazy.
Isn't this part of the story with the NBA gambling?
I haven't been following this too
Yeah,
closely.
the headline yesterday on the Times about the NBA coach gambling, there was in the headline it also mentioned mafia. So unless there's two mafia poker rings going on, which is totally possible in a city like New York, I think they're connected. And I wrote about it yesterday, and one of my readers emailed me. I'm not going to say who it was.
Sure.
But he was like, if you want to talk about this, I was there, or the game was held at gunpoint.
What?
If you want to talk about it. And I said, sure. And then he sent me the neighborhood.
What is game held at gunpoint? Like someone's forcing you to play poker?
Well, you guys don't play poker. Sometimes that happens.
What do you mean that happens?
Guns, drugs,
But in what scenario?
mafia.
Under what conditions am I like, I'm really enjoying playing poker with you, so you will die if you don't
I
continue
think it's
playing?
more like
They're just having so much fun?
Yeah, you have a little too much fun, and somebody like pulls something out that they're not supposed to pull out, and yeah, I've never
bizarre.
had a gun at a poker game, but I've heard
This is why I'm not leaving California. This New
yeah, there's
Yorker
none of this
seems
here.
crazy to me.
there's none of this here. Yeah,
This is not. This
There's
is
a post
wildly
here
improper.
on the sports gambling arrest. Mike over on X with 2 million views on this post. The NBA is very concerned about the multiple arrests made as a result of the FBI's sports gambling raid. Use code multiple arrests for a 30% profit boost on a 3-leg parlay with DraftKings, the official gambling partner of the NBA.
I love it.
I am glad that people are still playing poker in person as opposed to just only playing online. That's good.
That's kind of a white pill for sure. Touching grass.
Yeah, touching
Yeah.
chips. I used to have a poker podcast.
Really?
Yeah, it was called Chips and Dip, and it was
Okay.
about poker and chips, like
Okay.
potato chips.
Potato chips.
Yes.
Were you like a good poker player?
My ex was like a good poker player, and then
Okay.
our friend, the third guy, is also very good, and he's borderline addict.
Who's a gambling addict? Cool.
Good luck to him.
He's doing okay. He might start writing about poker.
He should go work in a hedge fund or something.
Yeah,
Put it to work.
for sure.
He should go lock in. He should do the inaugural gamble, the first gamble at the new Morgan Stanley HQ. It's Morgan Stanley, right?
No, it's
No,
JPM.
Oh, it's JPM.
Yeah.
Okay, JPM. Yes. The first fat-fingered trade. This is important. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping
for
by.
joining
Thanks
us.
for having me,
TBPN
guys. It's a
Ultradome.
blast.
We know we have to get you. You have to get out of here.
Really fun. Got to go to the Hammer Museum.
Breaking. She will be
The
at
Hammer Museum. I didn't know
you
that
this
was
is
a real
live. Someone
place.
could go by and say, "Oh, you play." What do you
Don't say that.
Be careful.
Okay,
These
bye,
people.
guys.
Bye.
Great hanging.
Great hanging.
Cheers.
While we rearrange the seats, let me tell you about Vanta.com. Automate compliance, manage risk, prove trust continuously. Vanta's trust management platform takes the security and compliance process, the manual work out of your security and compliance process, and replaces it with continuous automation.
Alex Heath says Snap is in talks to raise at least $1 billion for AR glasses. Multiple investors involved, including Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund. Plan is to move Specs into a new independent subsidiary
Spinning it out.
in structure
Wow.
similarly to Waymo and Alphabet.
I want to get Evan on the show so badly. I think it would be a very, very
working on
fascinating
it.
conversation.
We're working on it. It will happen soon.
Samsung just launched a Vision Pro competitor, right? Samsung Galaxy XR, the headset. So they're and Google's announcing it today. This is 16 minutes ago. The Samsung Galaxy XR is powered by Android XR, and it's supposed to be basically at the Apple Vision Pro level in terms of fidelity, I think. But they obviously have a YouTube app because it's a Google partnership, and so you on day one they have a lot more partners because Android's been kind of a better steward to the developer community than Apple, and I think a lot of the obvious developer partners that would go and build apps for the Apple Vision Pro are taking a wait and see approach because they want to have more leverage over Apple instead of just showing up and being like, okay, I'm going to be paying the Apple tax on day one. They're saying, hey, like, why don't you go get the audience first, Apple? Make sure that there's actually 100 million DAUs of this thing, like the iPhone, before I build an app for this.
Yeah. Speaking of smart devices, Kohler, the toilet manufacturer, is making a new toilet camera that provides health insights based on your bathroom breaks. which is insane because
That's an insane
Throne, the startup Throne,
Oh, yeah.
is doing this. I really thought nobody would
Touch it?
nobody would go and I thought it was like an insane idea.
Yeah.
But at least no one else would go and compete. And then
Yeah, yeah.
Kohler, obviously a major manufacturer, decided, I'm sure they were somewhat inspired by Throne, to go get into the game of toilet cameras, health tracking. So we'll see how this plays out.
It's very funny. Let me tell you about Graphite.dev. Code review for the age of AI. Graphite helps teams on GitHub ship higher quality software faster. You can get started for free.
Gabriel is posting.
This is a wild
there
one.
was an article from the Times that said female spies are waging sex warfare to steal Silicon Valley secrets. China,
This
Russia.
is a funny story from the Times. Is this the Times of India? I think it's the Times of India, but this has been the meme of like the CCP spy girlfriend,
is
and
Times
we
London.
sort of the Times of London. Okay, so we had a whole. There are a lot of different Timeses. There are a whole bunch of different like iterations of that viral concept of like is the girlfriend a spy, and then the backlash to like, well, you shouldn't judge the girlfriend because she might be a spy, and going back and forth on that. So it's interesting that the Times of London, is this just something where Europe takes 2 months to get to the current thing on X? Because this is an article that literally just says what X was talking about 4 months ago, right?
Yeah, I think that. I mean, this.
Or is there
been
new
This has been
information?
an ongoing thing. I think maybe what they've discovered, and we're not factual media, so we don't need to get into kind of the truth here. But they're saying some of these spies are even marrying and having children with their targets, which is really.
You know what a good? Have you seen The Americans? That's a great movie, or a great TV show. The Americans is
not.
great. It's
Atlas says,
enjoy it.
geez, I would sure hate for a beautiful Chinese spy to wage sex warfare against me for my production secrets. My production secrets are super important. I would hate for this to happen.
Did he go mega viral for this? Yeah,
15,000 likes. He got
And
the
Elon is
Elon
laughing.
response.
That's great.
Near has been going on a tear highlighting Andreessen-backed companies. And there's definitely some that are
Specifically speedrun,
These are
right?
A16Z speedrun
So
companies,
speedrun.
which is under Andrew Chen.
And it's more of an incubator or accelerator.
It's an accelerator.
It doesn't have the same
More like a
weight as
Y-
like a David George came in with the growth team and like actually
Yeah.
like did some analysis. It's like
It's definitely
they're
different,
ripping checks.
but it's out. It's out of their speed run fund,
Okay.
run by Andrew Chen.
Sure.
So this one is Cheddar. It's the TikTok of sports wagering.
Okay.
Unlike other platforms, they allow players under 21 and in 46 states. I don't
Wait,
even know.
is this from a deck or from their website or something?
I think this is from the speed.
How did Near find this?
I think this is from the speedrun website.
This is ridiculous. Okay, wait. There's another one. I need to talk about double speed. I need you to explain this to me. The founders in the chat going back and forth in the replies. So Near says A16Z back double speed lets you control thousands of social media accounts with AI, ensuring they look as human as possible. Quote, never pay a human again. Control is all you need. I can imagine some. I was about to steal man this, but it's really hard. I can imagine that puppeteering 1,000 devices might be useful for something or other in like a data generation.
So double speed, I think they're trying to position it as this is an alternative to influencer marketing, but it does look and feel more like an influence operation. So I would be.
This
this
feels
is the kind of
very
thing that
sloppy, and it feels very.
nation states typically take this kind of thing on where they build a phone farm.
Yeah. This feels like bot farming. It feels
other
like
one-
very much against the terms and conditions.
The other
And
one that
so-
was
wait,
wild.
hold on. But like Near went through this whole flow where Near is just quoting them, which is interesting because Near's not really dunking here. Like Near's just saying A16Z back double speed lets you control thousands of social media accounts with AI, it's basically just the same as what's on their website copy. One of the founders or the employees automating attention at double speed, Zuhair Lakhani, chimes in and says, "Let me know when you sign up. We can help you grow your company, Oren." And Nir says, "It wants to charge me $5K before I try it. It seems." Zuhair says, "Sorry, we don't do free trials. Let me know if you have budget to allocate, and we'll get you onboarded." Day says, "You can do 2,000." Zuhair says, "Yes, join our Discord." But the founder, this is a founder of Speedrun Cohort 5. I don't know if it's the founder. Besart Kopa says, so people are calling this like morally lame and impoverished. And Besart Kopa says, "How so? There are already 1 million bot farms around the world. They wreaked havoc on our elections not so long ago. Shouldn't the best ones be built in America and pioneer the latest tech and rules to govern it?"
Wait, so he's saying they have wreaked havoc on the world, but so we should build it in America?
Yes. It's basically like, oh yeah, you know how fentanyl is bad? Like we should make it in America.
I think Double Speed should pivot to being a defense tech company and just work with our government to run foreign operations.
Yes, this is good.
America has such a long history of running, various influence operations in far off regions of the world. That
spam from first principles.
Here's another one. Edgar is bringing real money engagement into free-to-play sweepstakes, America's #1 social casino for slot lovers.
These are insane.
I can't believe this is real. I had to go check the speed.
It is wild comparing these to the Nat Friedman cohort that he did, which Julius was a part of, Julius.ai. What analysis do you want to run? Chat with your data and get expert level insights. What was that?
So the last one we have to cover is Covered, which is bet on your bills. OnlyFans. This is so dark. I can't even.
What is
Bet
this?
on your bills
with
Covered. OnlyFans, child support, and last night's Uber.
Stop.
Wipe them from your credit card by playing your favorite casino games, all from the comfort of our app. No VPN, no crypto deposits. And so my reaction here, I mean, John, you're going to be impressed by this. 6 million views on this post and only 292 likes.
So bad that it means that someone like nuclear ratioed them.
But I mean, such an insane missed opportunity to say bet on your debt, right? Like they say bet on your bills.
Yeah.
This is like bet on your own debt.
Well, it's not debt.
This is potentially the most American.
Because you've already paid it. Or maybe you're in debt.
No, but you
This
can
is
wipe
very
them.
dark.
If you bet right, you get them wiped from your statement.
So bad. It's so funny that just a quote tweet that's from Hero 1,000 Faces that just says societal breakdown gets more likes with 30,000 views. Like the like ratio is insane on this. Wow.
Trey says, "This is incredible. Double your bills or nothing."
What's funny is like there was a guy who was a really cool, like kind of funny designer who was designing stuff like this, little modals, and one of them was Apple Pay with a double or nothing button. And people were like, "Oh, this is really funny," but like to see it actually productized is like, oh, like we were joking about that. Like,
yeah, the interesting thing is, a lot of these kinds of ideas, kinds of apps end up being massive businesses,
Yeah.
but you don't typically see, venture funds backing them. They typically bootstrap. But this is one of the challenges of scaling a venture platform, right?
Sure.
It's like there's tons of partners at Andreessen that probably would have passed on these deals, but individual partners have autonomy and they can do what they want. So.
Well. Stick to the infrastructure, baby. Go to Turbo Puffer. Search every byte. Serverless vector and full text search. Built from first principles on object storage. Fast, 10x cheaper, extremely scalable.
Did you see this? A gummy bear, Basil says a gummy bear company casually dropping revolutionary battery technology for $25 on Amazon, the lightest ever of this capacity, and pretending nothing happened is one of the funniest things of all time. So this is Haribo.
Yeah,
I don't actually think this is Haribo. I think this is
someone stealing the Haribo brand.
Well, they may hopefully it's
the gummy bear company. So yeah, people are immediately wondering like, is this real? Is this actually the best power storage per dollar possible or per weight. And so Michael went ahead and bought one. And here's his findings. He says its weight is 286 grams, just a little bit over what they claim. The capacity is 83 watt hours. The printed on the battery, it says capacity 20,000 milliamp hours, or 77 watt hours. So I'm measuring in excess of what is claimed. I think they're stating the voltage piece is what makes the battery capacity measurements nebulous, but watt hours don't have that issue, and I'm getting better than claimed. Minimum charging current of 0.5 of an amp, less than this battery pack turns itself off. Not able to recharge the battery via the built-in cable. That's weird. So overall, my conclusion is this battery is the real deal. It meets the claimed capacity and pretty much hits the weight spec. Wow. So maybe you got to go pick one of these up. Very, very funny post.
Oracle just secured a $38 billion debt deal to finance 2 new data centers. They said they couldn't lever up anymore. They shouldn't, but they are not listening. $23 billion will go toward a Texas site and nearly $15 billion towards one in Wisconsin. Ted Jang says, here we go. The debt finance deals are coming.
We got Chase Lochmiller from Crusoe coming on the show in about an hour to break down his Series E.
The godfather of Stargate.
Yes, Star-Lord.
The Star-Lord.
Himself.
Citrini put this out a bit ago, according to Ted. Something that has been a relative comfort in being able to stay long despite calls for an AI bubble so far has been the fact that most of the CapEx has come from cash flow. You don't have a bubble really until the majority of the expansion is done on debt. We have yet to see significant financing, but that absolutely should be something to watch. On one hand, that leaves another leg of the trade. Leveraging up still results in more money being spent. On the other, it sets the stage for consequences of not realizing ROI that we haven't really had to contend with in the existing paradigm. With Microsoft 10-year bonds trading at a G spread of 3 basis points, there's still a lot of room for the hyperscalers to issue debt or tap private credit to fund continued spending on AI. However, this also induces a lot more fragility. Going forward, monitoring the share of AI capex that is financed rather than funded from cash flow is probably the most important aspect of determining exactly where we are in the cycle. Again, there's been a number of players using debt. XAI has been using debt. Meta's already tapped the debt markets. I feel like Satya just generally is a lot less inclined to lean in and lever up too much. But there's a post here from Junk Bond Investor. It says, just offloaded some data center construction debt to his school teacher's 401k. My father is a retired school teacher, so hopefully
he didn't get burned here.
He's going to be a little frustrated with me if that ends up being the case, but I'm sure that's happening. With Nexperia, there's been a little chaos on that front. Nexperia, the semiconductor company out of the Netherlands, they notified its Japanese automotive customers that it may no longer be able to guarantee supply, triggering renewed concern about upheaval at the chip maker. So some chaos over on the European front.
Before we do the next post, let me tell you about Google AI Studio, the fastest way from prompt production with Gemini, chat with models, vibe code, monitor usage. Do you think everyone's talking about the AI bubble? They never talk about the podcasting bubble. Maybe we should be getting some more attention. Everyone's saying like, wow, TBPN is feed me. These businesses, if they don't work out, if they don't deliver, the entire global economy will collapse.
Well, no, on a more serious note, we did hear of a podcast raising at a half $500 million that is burning money. So that could be a sign.
That might be.
Packy has a post here. Never change, Masa. This guy rocks, and it's a post that says SoftBank hunts for humanoid robot startups. SoftBank's Masayoshi Son has long predicted a future where robots would outnumber people and take over many jobs from humans. But some of SoftBank's bets in robotics over the past 10 years, such as robot company Pepper, have not panned out. Now the company is renewing its robot ambitions, particularly in robots that resemble humans.
Can you imagine Brad Adcock reading this? He's got to be just like, oh, let's go. Like, I want to be the one.
SoftBank up 172% year to date.
Does it feel like actually
What's
a bad
crazy?
time to invest in humanoid robots? I don't think it feels like a bad time at all.
I think it's probably
feels
true that Masa and SoftBank were too early in some of their robotics bets, right? They bet really heavily, a decade ago.
This feels like a great time to be building in humanoid robots or robots generally. There's a ton of interesting startups, 1X, and there's smaller companies, and there's supply chain stuff, and it's like it's one of those things where it's like, are you more worried about being too early or being too late? Probably too early on the humanoid robot side, because they're not quite getting deployed profitably. They're very much like research tools. They get bought by researchers, one-off stunts here and there. There isn't really there's no customer that's just like, oh yeah, they're buying these like every month. They're buying more and more and more because like they're actually seeing increasing returns to scale.
Yeah, there was that story last week about Tesla buying actuators from a Chinese firm, right?
Yeah.
It was like a $675 million order, which to me signaled that's the kind of move you make if you're actually trying to get things into production
fast,
like in real time.
Yeah.
Or at least have a product that people can order. My theory was that if they felt like they had more time, they might have done them themselves, right?
Well, our first guest of the show is in the Restream waiting room. Let me tell you about Profound. Get your brand mentioned in ChatGPT. Reach millions of consumers who are using AI to discover new products and brands.
Be like MongoDB, Indeed, DocuSign, Ramp.
Yeah. We have Saagar Enjeti from Breaking Points. Saagar, how are you?
Oh, it's great to see you guys. Thank you for having me.
Great to see you.
Finally.
Only after a million text messages every morning back and forth on the AI apocalypse and political crises have we actually just put it together that we should just hang out on the stream. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Give everyone like a quick shape of the actual flow of the content, like the proper funnel of your business.
Saagar
really
some
quick.
Credit. He kind of created neo-trad media,
That's true.
which is a new framework we're working on, which is new media that sort of embodies or kind of looks and feels like
so your show looks
media.
like a proper TV show. You wear a suit, and so we call that neo-traditionalist media, neo-trad media, and we're firmly trying to do that.
I love it, and I will say one of the only reasons I am here is because both of you are bringing suits back to the bums of Silicon Valley, and I know many of you are watching right now in your Lululemon or Vuori, and you don't look cool. You don't look better than John or Jordy or myself. You all are billionaires. Buy a suit. Stop. Just stop it.
Stop it. That's great. I couldn't agree more. I think we're starting to have a small effect, but it's taking hold.
A lot of people that visit the Ultradome wear suits.
Okay. Well, I mean, I like pretty much. Like there are going to be tons of AI folks, tons of tech people who are going to be dragged in front of Congress over this data center build out. I think you've clocked this correctly. But walk me through, is this a thesis that came from you see this coming or you're seeing smoke signals already? Walk me through your thesis of like how tech and the AI build out runs on a collision course with the average American.
Yeah, the thing is, guys, and I really want to hammer this home for people who are watching, because shocker, I think many people in Silicon Valley do live in a bubble. One of the best parts of my job is I do genuinely is I interact, and we'll return to bubble conversation, by the way. But what I get to do is not only interact with a lot of people who are normal in politics, and I mean that at the very base level, not people who live in Northern Virginia. The vast majority of my audience don't live in Washington, D.C. Many are Uber drivers, hotel clerks, etc. And I start to see bubbling stuff over the last 5 years over cost of living. At the same time, I'm tracking the electricity story. And it doesn't take a genius to pair that with data center build out. So one of the things that I really want to flag, I think, here on the show is that the coming data center collision, at the heart of that is about electricity. It doesn't have to be this way. One of my favorite notes is there's an analyst I follow who was in China. He had a very different view of this in China, even though, of course, they don't have democratic politics, but of course they do have some level of democratic input, is they said nobody's concerned here because electricity is considered a solved problem. We don't have a solved problem of electricity here in the United States. And in fact, worse, our grid is aging and actually things are getting worse. So with all of this capital expenditure in data centers, you are seeing a literal finite resource competition, especially in rural areas. So Virginia, the state where I live, 40% of all of our power is consumed by data centers. Oregon, for example, is some 33%. To be fair to many of the AI people who are watching, it's not all AI. We are the hotbed, right, of servers and Amazon and much of the federal government. But the point is that this is bubbling up at a very organic township level. So from Arizona to Virginia, data centers actually had a mention in our more recent gubernatorial debate. Both the Republican and the Democratic candidate said that they wanted to do something about it. There's Prince William County here in Virginia, where this is an active live issue and the public is overwhelmingly against it. The city of Tucson is moving. And so if we see this continued capital expenditure go up, and especially in more rural areas, we see headlines like 267% power increases for power bills in rural areas which are built near data centers, not to mention environmental concerns, etc. That's when you're going to see people start to get dragged before Congress. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious what, obviously every area, people are not going to just watch a data center get built, in their backyard and not, talk to their mayor or talk to the governor and actually start a conversation and a debate and ultimately create policy around this. Is there not some type of solution that would effectively allow data centers to pay a higher rate than everyday citizens and kind of make up the difference?
I think it's a great idea. Unfortunately, that's not how our power system works. The foundation of the United States is basically built on the fact that we're going to build this grid, this infrastructure, and we can all kind of consume the social benefits of it. There are pieces of legislation, Jordy, of what you're talking about on the table, I think in Oregon and in a few other states, but these are few and far between. I also think we got to take everybody through the story of the last 25 years. Again, with great respect to the audience I'm speaking to, you can't be Amazon and be the second largest employer in the United States, and then in your shareholder meeting come out and say that we want to fire 600,000 people, or at the very least not hire 600,000 fewer people. These are people who watch their towns get decimated. Then they watched Amazon. I mean, Nomadland. It's an Oscar-winning film about this,
I think what's challenging,
right?
what's so challenging about this issue is that you have these massive infrastructure projects with massive spend and almost zero job creation.
Exactly.
Like the plumbers and the electricians are gonna get paid, and that's great. But we've even heard stories of the plumbers and electricians being flown around on private jets because their skill set is so.
I heard the same.
And so that's not going to get people. But so if you're living in a little town and you're watching the mega project get spun up, and you're getting not only no real benefit, maybe you get more slop in your trough every day, but it's
Can you maybe take me a click?
That's the point.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Can you maybe take me a click forward into? Let's assume the trend lines kind of continue. Electricity prices go up. There's more. It's more clearly attributable to data centers, et cetera, et cetera. Like, how do the different political coalitions reframe themselves around this issue? Like, I imagine that there's a right-wing version of tech backlash that looks one way. There's the abundance lib direction. There's going to be the actual socialist left, and maybe they just say like no AI at all. Right. So like, how do you see the different coalitions grappling with what the V2 of the messaging might be here?
There's going to be a horseshoe element here. I think that the socialist left and much of the right is going to actually come in the same place of enough. And so a lot of the socialist left is actually Bernie Sanders. I don't know if you guys saw this right before I came on the show, just called for a breakup of OpenAI. So this is huge news. He's the first U.S. politician actually to do so. Now,
what is there to break up? They have ChatGPT and then they have a bunch of other things that are subscale.
How about the nonprofit profit arm or whatever the hell? You guys can explain that to me.
I think Sam's like, I would love to break it up. I'm actually trying to break it up. Right, I would love to just have a C Corp again.
Bernie, break me up, Bernie.
Yeah, is this some sort of like 4D chess and Sam's gotten to Bernie and told Bernie, hey, we need to break it up. That's really popular messaging. And he's like,
Bernie's probably, he's picking from an old tool book, so we shouldn't fault him too much.
He's basically just saying, let's pressure them. Let's make sure we have more regulation, right?
Exactly, more regulation. On the right, I mean, much of this is going to be about distrust of Sam and many of the tech guys guys themselves. I mean, when you have these people outwardly bragging about mass job loss, mass societal creation, there's a lot of us who are like, yeah, do I want this guy who's introducing AI porn to be the most powerful person in the world?
I mean, the challenge is that the job loss, like vision, is so good for fundraising, because if you know, people are like, hey, maybe I don't have a job in 10 years. It's like, well, I want my money going into these companies, so at least I'll have a chance at escaping the permanent underclass. Question for you: social media went through, and continues to go. It's like a perpetual backlash at this point. People say they hate it, they don't like it, they say it's bad. Many of those people still use it. How do you think this AI development is different than that, in that a generation will just log off, or do you think it will be the same type of dynamic where people say they hate it, they're frustrated with the potential impacts of it, but they still line up?
That's a very astute observation, and I think it's going to be somewhere in between. And so, actually, Jordy, this kind of gets to the point of what I reacted to. You put out a tweet about AGI and pornography, and what I reacted to that is I was like, yeah, AGI is not coming, guys. What's coming is porn. And what that means is the internet is just coming again. And so, I downloaded the ChatGPT browser. It's fine, it's fine. It's a browser. And so it's a browser that's going to serve me. I mean, literally the ad read before I came in was about putting ads into ChatGPT. Wow, what a business model. Somebody should have invented it already. They did. It's called AdWords in 2003. So are we just competing for the exact same type of unit economics of screen time, of use, of pornography, of the very same things, which, as you said, Jordy, are making us miserable? Because that doesn't seem very cool to me, and it also doesn't necessarily justify, let's say, 80% gain of the entire S&P 500 over the last 2025. This is the stuff, actually, that I text John about literally every day when I'm like, a bubble is coming, a bubble is coming, a bubble is coming.
I think the steel man of like the medium case, or I don't know how to put it, but it's like, if I told you, it's just like, well, yes, like AI is not AGI. You're not going to lose your job over it. It's not going to kill anyone, but it will help you do research better. It's better autocomplete. It's this nice tool that'll help clean things up. Better spell check. Better grammar check.
Better gambling odds.
And if you're like, you're going to be a little bit more knowledgeable, a little bit more performant, a little bit more efficient, and it's going to cost. We're going to need to build some data centers, but we're not going to build so many data centers that we all lose our light and heating and AC.
I think
that's a reasonable abundance.
I think that's where we're going to end up.
That's where we should.
The moment we are right now is that when somebody sees an AI video of the one that went super viral a while back was like people on the roof of an apartment building, and it's a pool and the glass breaks and people flow off.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that video and videos like it are not worth, for the average American, an extra $100 a month, an extra $1,000 a year added to their electrical bill, right? And so
you're exactly right, and that's the political dynamic, and that's why, John, I go, hey, all of that sounds great.
Yeah,
it's a little worrying to put my entire retirement portfolio based upon a very different message, and when that's the reality of where we're going to end up, a little bit better Microsoft Teams is just really not the Anthropic vision which is being sold to me. Okay, I talked to a guy who works at Accenture. I said, how do you use AI? He's like, yeah, it's great. It does auto meeting summaries for me. And I was like, wow. Listen, definitely great. I mean, it means you don't have to hire some entry-level guy, although maybe that's not great. And what really ended up happening is that you end up using it for these extraordinarily mundane tasks. I have no issue with that as long as the attendant social fallout, government policy, power bills, and all of that is tied up into it. Not to mention, and I really can't belie the social cost, because what you said, Jordy, is a central thing. There is a mass elite revolution right now against social media. Mm-hmm. And I think Jonathan Haidt might be one of the most important public intellectuals in a long time, leading what I think is going to be at least a top middle discussion with all of these different school districts, states, and others which are banning phones. The recognition is that they are controlling us, and we need to take control of our life. AI is kind of supercharging that message. And if you talk to the vastly rich, which you do, and I've spoken to a few of them, how many of them really let unlimited screen time for their phones in the way that, you know, the income of, let's say, people making less than 100,000 do for their children? It's just completely different. You know, they're very aware of that dynamic, and that is permeating social culture at a way that I don't think people in tech are quite realizing.
Do you think it always takes a generation of guinea pigs to understand where technology winds up? Because I grew up with the panic around video games and the idea that if you played Counter-Strike competitively at a very high level and became one of the greatest Counter-Strike players of 2003, you were definitely going to be crazy. Well, I did it. I was great at Counter-Strike. I wasn't maybe one of the best ever, but I was pretty good. And I don't have any violent impulses whatsoever. I was fine. I was not one shot by 360 no-scoping people. I became a productive member of society. And I feel like we came up with the ESRB, R, like teen-rated games, M-rated games. And we kind of figured out like where the line is. Parents adapted, kids adapted, and we got through that. Social media, it feels like we're towards the tail end of getting through it, where most parents know, hey, the young kids should not be on Instagram like constantly or TikTok constantly. And with AI, we're just starting to understand. But it feels like we'll kind of wind up in the same place, which is like,
you might be right, but let me challenge you a little bit on the video game front, because I think that John, you also know my crusade against sports gambling. Robinhood, if you're listening, please don't allow sports betting. But one of the important things around gambling, you also know my crusade against marijuana, is here's the issue with video games, with all of these vices and things that you're talking about. It's fine sometimes, but there is an attendant part of society which actually does lose it when immersed in this culture. So, you know, I've pointed, unfortunately, part of my job, I cover a lot of mass shootings. We had two, or actually three, very recently. We had Minnesota, we had also the Charlie Kirk killer, and then we also had the ICE shooter. All three were deep in these weird Discord gamers. The ICE guys spend 20 hours a day gaming.
But Discord is a social media thing.
Discord, the platform.
I don't think of it as like a video game.
It's the Discord platform.
Yeah, but you guys can locate his Steam data. He was logging, I don't exactly remember the number off the top of my head, but an absurd number of hours playing video games. This is somebody who's 31-year-old male.
This is kind of a contrarian take. I feel like most people close the book on the video games as causing
I'm back.
violence. You're
Brother,
back.
I never left. Okay,
I love it.
Actually, no, I never left.
I love it.
And that's part of what I think is important to say, is that people say it worked out. I just dispute that. I mean, we have millions of people now who are addicted to gambling, who are addicted to marijuana, who have gone psychotic, people who are wasting their lives in front of these screens. And it's like, did it work out? I mean, yeah, it worked out for the S&P 500. Did it work out for the United States of America? I would say no. I mean, if you put all those things together.
Yeah, it was interesting. Ryan Cohen from GameStop came on the show on Monday. He was crazy. He didn't say this explicitly, but he was basically seemed generally in favor of just stopping all AI research.
Well, I thought you were going to talk about his take on Call of Duty. He was like, I don't.
What did he say?
He was basically like, I don't want people playing Call of Duty. Like, I don't want kids playing Call of Duty, which is crazy from like the GameStop guy. He's the CEO of the company, but he had sort of a similar like anti-video game take. Like maybe it's not as safe as people think it is.
Well, I mean, if you guys talk to teenagers and you're like, how do you guys hang out? A lot of them will be like, oh, we don't hang out very much, but we play a lot of video games
together.
Sorry, that's bad. All right,
That's
I mean,
bad?
it's weird. It's weird.
Wait, but what about all the dudes? I'm sure you know some of the guys who have been like one shot by golf. Where they're just golf is their whole personality. They just are all they do all day is think about golf, and then on the weekend they go golfing. It's similar, is it not?
No, it's not similar because when I said video games, what I said is they're at home playing online with their friends.
Yes.
Now you guys, we're all relatively the same age.
Yeah.
Online play was not around that time. So what you would do is you would gather at a friend's house.
Yes,
it was
the LAN
still
party.
pro-social.
Yeah,
It was
couch co-op.
It was a thing when I was a kid. But I lived somewhat in the country, and so before anybody could drive, it was like your parent wasn't necessarily. It was tough to get around, basically, and so video games were a way that you could hang out with your friends, and otherwise it would have just been hanging by yourself or whatever. Maybe that's better.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
What
did they
what
do
would
in
get
the
you
80s?
to what would
You know?
get is there any, can you imagine any scenario that would get you to change your mind on AI? Because I'm with you. Of right now it feels like AI is like the current state of AI in terms of products that people use and are an everyday part of their life is just an extension of big technology, right? OpenAI has the aesthetics now of a big tech company. They launch products like they're a big tech company. They have a user base like they're a big tech company. They're very young, but that's what they look and feel like. They still have their nonprofit, and they still have, you know, a research arm that is working on AGI, but it's hard for people to spend too much time thinking about AGI research when all the launches and the announcements are social media and new web browsers and erotica and things like that. And so, but I'm curious, you know, and this is something we are always trying to tease out on the show, is people that come on the show to talk about AI typically have some AI to sell you, or some they have a startup equity to sell you that's sort of predicated on these sort of more utopian visions of AI. And it's hard to parcel out, right? And so you had the Karpathy interview recently, which was kind of throwing
Fantastic interview.
Yeah, and I that didn't necessarily like update my worldview a lot. I think he put a lot of these ideas really well, right? This idea of you know, agents are not, you know, are not the agents that we were promised maybe this year are not here yet, and I think that's okay. But I'm curious what would update your worldview, because it's hard. It's like if we get massive job loss, you're not going to be sitting here like
if we get like an Ozempic level drug success that was designed from AI, that probably makes it all worth it, right?
I think what John is correct is just show me, like actually show it to me. Stop telling me, because it's creeping me out to talk about UBI and, you know, where everyone's going to be, you know, extremely happy, even though I run the entire world. I mean, listen, I got to put my own cynicism and bias on the table. Like, I'm literally an anti-establishmentarian podcaster. When these guys open their mouths, I'm just like, you're lying. And most of the time that turns out to be true.
Yeah.
So it's one of those
I would take the other side of this argument and say that it is possible that we never get some sort of big binary moment where we're like, oh my God, yes, like it did the thing that we wanted to do, but it's still like net good. I think about it like, you know, the invention of the credit card. It's like, it just like speeds up the economy. It takes a little bit of friction out so that the corner store can sell a couple more muffins, and then the person can pay with the digital cash like stored in their bank account, and they don't need to do the check writing, and it sort of puts a couple check writers out of business. But people have new jobs because
digital
they can do
currency
more
will
things.
track your CO2 consumption.
No. For saying that, Jordy.
But there are tons of
Do you think
examples
it's
of
not
like,
to put on the tinfoil hat, but do you think it's funny how for basically decades people were so against central bank digital currencies, and now they're like, now everybody's like, I present to you stable coins.
they're a little bit different, but
they're different, but the potential risks associated with digital money are still there.
Yeah, I want to pick up on what John said.
Sure.
I think it's such an important point, which is I think you are exactly correct. But this is why I react so negatively to the rhetoric. Yeah. And, you know, guys, I mean, sure, you have as well. One of my favorite books, .con, you know, by Cassidy. I could go through the list. Michael Lewis has a book on .com. I've read through. I watched a few documentaries. CNN, and you'll never hear me say this, actually has some decent documentaries about the decades. And they have a decent documentary about the 1990s. Yes. Shout out to the old CNN. They had a great documentary about the 90s, which I watched, and the same level of enthusiasm they were talking about the information superhighway is quite literally matches much of the rhetoric of today. I'm too young to actually have experienced much of it on the airwaves, but the same way and the fervor which was fueling so much of .com just seems... I mean, same thing. Like, ironically, I used ChatGPT just before I came on here because I knew we were going to talk about this. And
that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying, though. It's one of those things like people like social media. They hate it, but they use it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't hate ChatGPT.
What was your finding?
I just don't. My finding was that we are mirroring almost exactly the same levels of tech stock growth from the year 1999 of the entire S&P 500 of stock gains, and similar ones in terms of our GDP. If anything, the GDP number is higher today. So the systemic risk, which matches their rhetoric, and that the risk itself of the fact is, John, what I've probably been texting you the most about is these round-tripping vendor finance deals. And you made a great point to me privately about ASML and how vendor finance itself is not necessarily a negative term in and of itself, but it's really hard not to go and read the story of Cisco and to say, hey, if we have very similar type of downturn and reduction of expected revenue, I'm not saying OpenAI itself will go bankrupt, but that itself is fueling the entire retirement portfolio of the whole country, not to mention GDP, interest rates, everything is banking on this one sector. I think that's really dangerous. And especially that background article, you guys are going to know a lot more than me, but Sam's story about, going back to Masayoshi-san, which, look, no offense to the viewers. I read the WeWork book. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I trust the guy's judgment.
Credit on Masa with WeWork. Masa never really got a markup, right? Or maybe he got one or two, but not a lot in the real dollar.
No, he was buying the top.
He top ticked it.
He top blasted.
The dialogue earlier this year was Masa top blasting OpenAI, and then of course OpenAI's up another
5x or something.
Listen, I mean, his deal worked out, but it was more just to the extent of it's very similar, kind of Adam Newman-esque to me about like, oh Sam, you need to go bigger. And that's exactly what encourages him to start doing so many of these deals. I don't begrudge them necessarily to do it, but I really took to heart the too big to fail element of this because I'm thinking about this from a mass societal
Just
level.
say you're not an investor in SoftBank Group Corp. up 173% year to date.
So we have Jordan Schneider from China Talk joining in just a minute. But the last question I want is the update on obviously you believe there's an AI bubble. Is there a media bubble? Is David Ellison trying to build one? Like, what's going on in the media landscape? We were trying to map it out earlier, taking you through new media, neo media, traditional media, the legacy media, the mainstream media. There's so many different phrases. Like, what's the most interesting story in media in 2025? Because we've already had the story about like we're leaving the mainstream and going independent.
Here's my counter take, which I really came home with the gambling story recently at NBA. There is a new media bubble, and it's in sports, and it's entirely because FanDuel and DraftKings have propped up way too many people with opinions. And when there is even a modest pushback on prop bets and the rest of the bullshit that these sports books are allowed to send you, pardon my take, and maybe two or three others are going to make it. Everybody else is going to get wiped out. There are way too many sports podcasts if you're out there. And in my opinion, the biggest bubble is in sports media right now, entirely inflated by the gambling industry.
Yeah, do you have any sense what percentage of advertising revenues in sports podcasting is gambling?
But it has to be like 70, 80%. 80 to 90%.
Yeah,
I would say 80 to 90%.
I think the Pat McAfee deal was maybe 50% paid for by sports betting.
Well, I have a startup to pitch you. There's a new startup that launched that allows you to bet on your bills, OnlyFans, child support, and last night Ubers. Wipe them from your credit
You're gonna
card
love this.
by playing your favorite casino games.
To enrage Saagar Enjeti.
All from the comfort of their app.
If you have a big OnlyFans bill, you can gamble it away. You can gamble it away.
Like, the investor in me.
Yes.
The investor in me wants to
stop.
The investor in me wants to buy that company.
You need a vice clause on your own investments.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, I've said, as much as I preach against this stuff, if I actually had to open a business, it would be called game day loans, like instead of payday loans, and it would float sports bettors who are out there who need like an 18 to 25% interest. So that's a free idea out there. Game day loans. I'm telling you, it'd be $1 billion company.
It's going to happen.
It's happening. It's going to happen. Yeah. If you want to sell it to FanDuel, you're ready.
Yeah.
What's your last thing? What's your kind of like timeline on this sort of tension bubbling up around data centers and slop and the build out overall?
I have a very clear idea of how bubbles build in the private markets.
It can get a lot more intense from here.
It'll go national in 2026. The Democrats are going to win a decent amount of elections. Anti-tech is already a small d Democratic issue. You're going to start hearing a ton of it at town halls. It's already happening, and 2026, 2027 is when it's going to happen.
And on the right, you're tracking like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Josh Hawley. Like who's going to be leading the front there on the right?
It'll probably be Tucker Carlson at the top.
Okay.
And from that point, it will flow to the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, the Josh Hawleys.
Got
I'd be
it.
very curious to see where JD lands on this.
Yeah.
Actually, where David, I mean, is a central figure in
Sachs,
MAGA
you
right
mean?
now. Yes, David
Well,
Sachs.
but
I'm very
Sachs's
curious to see where it
point,
goes.
Sachs's point, I think from earlier this week was that without AI, you have basically zero GDP growth.
Yeah.
So I think he's
Yeah,
taking
I know.
the side
That's
of
the problem. That's well, and listen, that's not his fault. He's the AI advisor. He should be making that point. But if I want to lead our country, that's not the sell I'm making, because what we have learned over the last
we need to
25
prop up
years
the
is
economy
that
so
the
you can
growth-
lose your job.
Yeah, right. Exactly. There you go. That is the end all of this entire conversation.
Okay.
This is the final boss of the anti-tech wave. It really is potentially the final battle,
Yeah.
and it's
Very
gonna be crazy. And I'm excited to have many more conversations.
The singularity will
I would
be,
love to.
Yeah. We'd love to have you back. This is so much fun.
Thank you guys
I
for
love
having me.
this.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Always welcome.
And congratulations on all your success, obviously.
Well, I've been
once
doing
I
this shit for
actually
7
dig-
years. Nobody gave me a Sunday New York Times profile. Okay, so
well, I think it's
I don't
time.
know what's going on here.
we know
but-
a guy.
Yeah. We got to make it happen. Well, thank you so much. Have a great
Thanks,
weekend.
guys.
We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, Saagar.
You too. See ya.
Before we bring in Jordan Schneider from China Talk, let me tell you about Linear. Linear is a purpose-built tool for planning and building projects and products. Meet the system for modern software development, streamline issues, projects, and product roadmaps. Let's bring in Jordan Schneider from China Talk. Jordan, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. You should have kept me on with that last guest. That was great.
I know. Yeah,
I know. I would
we
love to
started
just-
doing a
I
little
would
bit of
love to
that
just-
earlier this week. We had like Brian Armstrong and Brian Chesky kind of next to each other for a little bit.
Call him back in, because the answer is we will all be so distracted by our AI boyfriends and girlfriends that we won't be stressed out about losing our jobs.
I
mean,
think I actually
Maybe
it's,
that's
it's
the move.
it's very dark, but I think that the world is so entertained now that almost nothing matters, and it's sad. But no matter how dark certain futures could be, it's expected that everyone will have infinite entertainment constantly, and it's so much harder for people to stand up and protest and try to create change if you can go back to your phone and oh, here's another funny video.
Yeah.
And I just saw Stephen Hawking's at the X Games and it was awesome, and I'm going to send it to a friend. And
It actually is awesome. Though. It is sick. It's really sick. It's totally worth paying a lot for that.
totally worth the extra
that clip is the
$2,000.
duality of TBPN.
I haven't even seen my dog do it
back and
yet.
forth.
Just wait. Once I see my dog at the X Games.
No, I think
so-
it's important. I
Sign
think
me up.
like you can't. I continue to be a firm believer that technology is a massive net positive for the world, but it has a dark side, and it's important to talk about it, and will be important to continue to talk about it. And
It's numbing. There's like a taking antidepressants
Yeah.
lens to it, right? Where you just kind of feel less if you get these dopamine hits. And we have not evolved to have the dopamine hits within literally 5 seconds. Anytime you feel bad about yourself or bad about the world or something that happened around you, or someone disappointed you in your life, it's like, oh, okay, like instead of like addressing that or going to protest, to Jordy's point, we can be consoled by these things that live in our pockets, and they're only going to get better at it, which is the sort of I guess awesome.
this is
in
the
biblical
worst. This is
term.
the worst the dopamine feedback loop will ever be.
This is the worst the infinite jest will ever be. Do you think China is less dopamine addled, like brain rotted? Because
Yeah,
we hear
it
these
feels a little bit-
anecdotes about,
it feel-
like, no brain rot TikToks.
Yeah,
or no
their
video games.
TikTok is just science videos.
it's
and
just-
I don't-
Absolutely not.
that's-
Yeah, right.
Absolutely not. I mean, look, like who needs opiates for the masses more? Like a country with 20% youth unemployment, or a country that has 3.5% unemployment? I think the party has successfully kind of
Wait, which
numbed
country has
out
20% unemployment?
China.
youth unemployment.
Yeah, which country are you talking about?
Well, yeah, let AI run for an extra year or two, I guess. But
Those are rookie numbers.
Like if you told me that was America, I'm not that far off. I mean, I've heard that the numbers are going up. They might have spiked. No, obviously, it's
but
not
no,
that bad for you.
I think there is. I think the sort. It's fun. You guys should have Jasmine and Son on. I asked her
We have
this,
to. We have to.
because she just came back from a trip to China.
Yeah.
I was like, who walks around looking down at their phone more, people in the Bay or China? And she couldn't really distinguish between the two.
It was identical?
I don't. Just like equally sort of like
Yeah.
zoned in while like walking down the street. You are like simultaneously swiping.
Ben
swiping
Sand in our
videos.
chat says iOS liquid glass is the best line of defense against phone addiction. I totally agree. It's just like the worst software Apple's
so
released
good.
in so long, and it just makes using your phone worse. So I hope my screen time is going down.
Don't worry, Johnny Ive will come in to save the day, Jordy. We won't be safe. That won't save us for long.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Zoom out. The original reason we wanted to chat was because of it's always fun to have you on the show, but obviously about the rare earth. Like, just give us the high level update on like the trade war. This has been since the entire time, since your very first appearance.
Is it real?
It's a year.
Is it real?
Is it even worth like thinking about like what the high level summary is of the status of the debate?
Sure. I mean, I think look, we've seen this administration swing from side to side on lots of different things.
Yeah.
We were yelling at Zelensky in the Oval Office, and now we're finally doing the sanctions that Biden couldn't bring himself to do around oil. We had Trump trying to, doing Liberation Day, taking it off, giving them H-20s. They don't want them. Now we're trying. Now they sort of tried to tighten the grip with the 50% rule from BIS. So sort of Huawei subsidiaries can't buy equipment, and China came back with rare earths. I think the sort of the fundamental fact is that like both countries have both countries have the ability to do significant economic harm to each other, and it's a bit of there's an aspect of playing chicken, and there's this kind of question of escalation dominance, like which side can take more pain and which side really cares more.
And both of them have basically a ranked list of tools in the tool chest, chips on the poker table, and something like, we're not going to sell you rare earth is extremely painful to America, maybe not that painful to China. And then we're going to tax Happy Meal toys or whatever is maybe, something in the American tool chest and the NVIDIA thing. And is the process that we should think about the lens of this year more thinking about just both sides are trying to actually understand the shape of how painful each tool in the tool chest is, because it feels like we're very much like turning these things on, turning them off to understand, okay, if rare earths are plus 60 points, NVIDIA chips, we thought it was plus 20 points for the US, it's actually plus 5. It feels like we're just trying to like map all these out, and then we will go to the meeting and actually say, okay, what's equal? Is that what's happening?
Yeah. Well, the problem is, I think Xi has had a long-standing goal, which she's repeated in speeches numerous times, that he wants to make China more self-reliant. He wants to make the rest of the world more reliant on China. And the problem with what you're seeing out of the Trump administration's policy towards this is what they're optimizing for changes literally week to week. So, tariffs are for revenue. Tariffs are for, this trade war is to bring manufacturing back. This trade war is to actually help NVIDIA gain market share in China. The trade war is to crush the Chinese semiconductor companies. And the problem is, it's like, it would be easier to sort of get to some sort of equilibrium where each side is just going to run as fast as they can at their things. Like if this administration had a sort of grand vision that it was working towards consistently for. But I think the dance that we've seen now play out over, they've met each other like 15 times, is it seems like the negotiators, every time they go, are actually operating under kind of like a different incentive structure. So, and I think this just plays to China's benefit, because the fact of the matter is America has an enormous amount of power and leverage that it could bring to bear. But the first time that China bit back, in the case of rare earths, that kind of really freaked out the Trump administration, and it showed. And sort of the
so
what'll be interesting.
To make this,
sorry, yeah, please.
Yeah, to make this more tangible, like how is this netting out for China's AI industry? The messaging has been, obviously, you're not going to buy NVIDIA chips. Maybe we'll look the other way on Malaysia and Singapore data centers. We're going to invest as much as possible in catching up to the leading edge in our own, domestic semi industry. We're going to dominate in power, and in 5 to 10 years, like, we're going to be, relatively, in their view, hopefully, relatively equal in terms of like overall computing power. And then I want to get a sense of, like, on the rare earth side, how solvable that is for the U.S. in your view.
Well, Chris Miller on China Talk had a good line. Like, we're about to see what's easier to do: build an EUV machine or build a rare earths mining, rare earth mines and refining facilities. So, from the Chinese AI perspective, I do think that their decision to sort of say, we don't even want your H20s is fascinating. On the one hand, it may just be a ploy to get Blackwell, to be like, oh, okay, like, we don't want this, we'll sell you even harder drugs, to use Lutnick's like addiction phrase. But there also may be some sort of information mismatch, because there obviously are lots and lots of sort of Chinese AI labs and hyperscalers who would love to buy NVIDIA chips, but Huawei may have gotten into the ear of the state council saying, yo, like, we got this, don't worry, like,
but isn't there also hasn't like Singapore and Malaysia like spiked quite a bit? Like, can that demand not just flow there?
Yeah, so it turns into a bit of a bridge, and this is something that the administration seems to be. Well, look, if you're fine selling the chips into China, why not just sell them into Malaysia and Singapore? I mean, I for one am more comfortable with that as a kind of intermediate step. But the problem with that is, like, what you're doing is providing this bridge for all these competitors of the U.S. AI stack to kind of like keep developing and stay on the frontier, such that when Huawei really is able to scale, potentially is able to scale to a level to compete with NVIDIA, you have these firms still running. And the question I really want to know is, like, look, if we want to sell the AI stack to the world, why aren't we selling like all of it? Like, why is it cool that we're just doing the NVIDIA stack, and then like we're allowing NVIDIA to do partnerships with like Alibaba Cloud abroad and like sell that into Malaysia? I mean, it would not be that hard to say, okay, like, you want NVIDIA chips, you should also be working with American hyperscalers, and you should be buying from AI and buying Western models. That seems to me to be like there aren't too many like alternatives on the table. The U.S. does have the leverage there, and I think it's a shame that that's not the line we're pushing. We're instead just sort of like ending the monopoly of the AI stack at the chip layer and letting the clouds and models just go whichever way they want.
Do you think America needs a deep seek for energy, an American deep seek for energy, right? So what that would mean is, like, what did DeepSeek do? Like, they jumped to our frontier.
Yeah, so Jordan Schneider is the Marrakesh of the deep state.
Yeah, really cheap, really fast, but they stole like our fundamental thing. They're like, we need to steal how fast they can build energy over there and make it an American company. So however they build,
or just stuff, like invent nuclear fusion. Yes, John.
Well, it's not nuclear fusion.
I have a feeling
it's something that they're doing, right? Aren't they they're growing way more energy. So what is the company that's doing that over there? What's the organization over there? What do they have that's special? Let's copy that. Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, The answer is like, it would like, the reason I went to nuclear fusion is like, it would be really nice to have a shortcut, because the answer is like really boring and frustrating.
But don't
It's
you
like
think
all this
America will?
regulatory stuff.
Don't you think
That's
America
so
will just
ridiculous.
get lucky, like we always do, discover some novel method of energy? But we always, anytime we need a resource, we just find some of it. I feel like we'll have.
Yeah,
Well, this
I've
is
been
the-
hearing about this. Yeah.
This is the whole Tyler Cowen thing. Like, do not underestimate the elasticity of supply. It's not just finding it, right? It's like all of these, global capitalism is now scared of their dependence on Chinese rare earths.
Sure.
And they kind of got a taste of that in April. They should have learned their lesson in 2014 when China did this to Japan. But now it's really real. And now, all your VC friends that come on the show are going to understand that this is a much more investable, finding like the solution to ytterbium and like, manufacturing like lab grown diamonds. Like, people are going to be willing to pay a premium for that stuff in a way that they maybe weren't even 6 months ago.
Why
now,
are lab
so.
grown diamonds important? There is actually a Cyan Bannister company, Long Journey, is in something called Diamond Age. They do
Amazing.
lab-grown
I mean,
diamonds. but is that important in the rare earth context?
Yeah. It's an input to, I think,
The UV
China.
machines?
This is actually one of the ones that the world is doing okay on. China has like 70% of the market, but
Okay.
yeah, it's part of the sort of it's used in fabs. It's part of the sort of manufacturing process.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How are you tracking the backlash to data center build out? We were just talking to Saagar Enjeti about this. Like, he thinks that like there's going to be a serious backlash. What's the deep state saying, Jordan?
So here's the answer. You saw these. You may have seen these articles come out with the Secretary of the Army talking to PE firms about how they're going to lease out land. It's like, all right, well, it's just like
that Dan
let's just build
Driscoll?
this stuff on. Let's just build this stuff on
TBPN
military
guest.
bases.
He's been on our show.
Yeah, no one's gonna complain if it's just like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, you'd think so.
And you can pollute all you want on those. There are all these sort of regulatory exemptions for these places. I think the money's gonna find a way. The problem with this is like, sure, the NIMBY stuff is useful when it's like when it's like one neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Or two neighborhoods. But like, you can put this stuff almost anywhere, and it is like 97% as useful as if you get to build it in Virginia, right?
Yep.
So I'm not all that pessimistic. I think, okay, maybe a few localities will be like loud enough to kick it out, but America's pretty big. There's a lot of places.
I like that.
What do you think is going to happen on the humanoid front? We saw this really insane demo of a Unitree robot that was transitioning from walking to like crawling like an insect, and now Unitree is selling in Walmart. And it just feels like we're going to repeat the DJI thing, where we let every American have a humanoid in their home that a Chinese humanoid in their home. And I'm sort of surprised that we're running this back.
It's interesting. I mean, there aren't real competitors at scale for the consumer market in the US yet. I mean, there are very straightforward regulatory things that the Trump administration could do to ban them. There's also a handful of kind of dependencies that the Chinese robotics ecosystem still has on the US, still has connected to the US. So, a lot of those chips come from TSMC. Like, there's a sort of like NVIDIA software layer. Maybe this is something that the Trump administration is thinking about when they're saying, oh, we're going to like ban critical software. So there are things that the US can do to kind of slow down the Chinese robotics ecosystem if they really want to.
Humanoids are not, even in Unitree's robots' current form, it's not like they're delivering incredible value to Americans, and by banning them, you're like, reducing, the productivity of businesses or anything like that. And so it feels like maybe in 2 years they're actually providing some value across the economy. And it'll be much harder to go out and say we're going to ban the cheap ones, and you have to buy American. And it just feels, I don't.
Sure. Well, what's really interesting is like in Ukraine, UGVs are a real thing now. So, a lot of the sort of resupplying infantry that's on the front line is an incredibly dangerous thing. And now they just have these little tracked robots that go back and forth. You've even seen videos of like CASEVAC, so people who are injured that they can't carry out in any other way, being sort of like rolling themselves onto some bed and having a drone drive them out. So I'm with you, Jordy. This stuff, they're kind of cute and fun for now, but we'll get there pretty soon. It's not impossible.
Well, yeah, they're cute. They're cute, but at the same time, when the humanoid starts crawling across your floor and you realize and your human alarm you have like a biological alarm bell going off that says like this thing looks like it from all the sci-fi movies I've seen, this thing looks like it wants to kill me.
Yeah, it feels way more tractable to me, like self-driving cars, like OCRing text in an image. It feels like something that we can just chip away at, versus like the novel scientific discovery thing. That feels like very uniquely human, very complex, much further out. This is just like make the motors work the right ways. It feels very simple. Like we're not trying to make someone superhuman at moving. Like it's just do the thing that any human can do, and we have tons of training data for. So
what's happening in Chinese markets right now?
I don't know, man. I'm just the tech guy. Yeah. I'm gonna pass on that. Let me go back to you should
spin up a small venture fund on the side. Then you'd be able to answer that question.
Well, the thing that I am spinning up that I want your blessing from actually is, so I've started a new series about war. I think it is actually just SportsCenter for War. We've been doing it once a week. The current name is Second Breakfast, but I think WBPN would probably be a better thing. So I don't know what the licensing arrangement is here. Maybe this is a conversation for offline.
I love the Second Breakfast concept. I love the topic selection. I would not recommend SportsCenter for War because there are just going to be episodes that are sensitive, and it's hard to bring humor and levity to something that's really dark.
Yeah, so SportsCenter is about providing an entertainment layer over existing entertainment, and I'm sure it's been a little dark this week with all of the gambling ring action, but
in general,
I don't think you want I don't think you want your face across the New York Times being like Jordan Schneider,
the SportsCenter for War guy.
It is tricky. I mean, people have pitched us like, oh, are you going to do a trading card for the hostages being released or something in geopolitics and stuff? And it's like, it just feels like that's not our space. And when you recontextualize it, even if it's a positive story, it still feels like, oh, there's real lives at stake versus just money at stake, which is what we talk about, or just points in the imaginary
market
sports
share
world. In the literal sports world, it is just a game. Yes, it's extremely high stakes at the Super Bowl, but it is just a game, and so you can have a lot of fun with that, and you can also have fun with just some VCs who are writing checks. But the war thing is it requires a little bit more sensitivity, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting because this community is just chock full of dark humor.
Sure.
I've told this to a few people, and they just think it's the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah, I
going back and
the
forth
conversational element of talking about the war history, that makes so much sense. For sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But all right, point
where
taken.
Can people
Thanks for that.
Where can people check it out? I know it's in the China Talk RSS feed. Do you have to hit Substack? How are people getting into the ecosystem?
Yeah, it's just on the China Talk podcast feed for now. Maybe it'll
check it
end
out.
up metastasizing. But yes, Second Breakfast. If you need more Venezuela content in your life,
I've been out of the loop on what do you think happens with Venezuela over the next month while we're here. You can give a little taster of your new show.
Well, there's two paths where, oh, well, I guess there's three paths they're on. One, he's just bluffing and we're going to move on to something else in a month. But like having this many boats in the Caribbean, sending a carrier makes me feel like it's a little more than that. So then there's path number two, where America fights like a covert war with a cartel. And then there's path number three, where we sort of like kill, exfiltrate, end up intimidating out of the country, sort of Maduro and his like leadership team. And I don't think this administration is necessarily going to be the if you break it, you buy it mindset. So, then I guess the cartel takes over the country. I don't know. It is not clear to me that this has been entirely thought out. It just seems a lot like a Sicario cosplay at like a giant and like really horrific scale. Maybe there's a better idea out there behind all of this. But the sort of head of Southcom, for whom this operation would have been like the crowning achievement, said he was going to retire 1 year into his 3-year tour of duty, which has basically like never happened in the past 40 years or so. So I don't know. It's going to be really messy. The U.S. actually does have like a kind of nice case study in Colombia and what we were able to do to sort of like get bring the like talk and fight the FARC out of existence over the course of the 2010s. So that's the happy story that might manifest. But the thing there is like you were working with the central government. There were only 50 Americans on the ground doing the thing. And like now we're trying to get rid of a cartel that apparently the president is saying is like one and the same with the government itself. So I don't know, big mess. Very far from like pivoting to China, but we'll get there eventually. It's just, it's only a matter of time.
I know. I think you got to maybe start with updating China talk. Maybe it's just
Globe talk, world talk,
world talk,
World
globe,
talk.
yeah, globe,
World talk.
Globe radio.
No, I think just Jordan Schneider. I don't know. All these.
Somebody in the
brands
chat
evolve.
said Saturday Night Live for human rights violations. So that's what you want to. That's what you want to avoid with your whole Sports Center for War thing.
It could
then you're
be
gonna
rough. Although maybe if you just
Actual
own it. I mean, like you listen to Tim Dillon, he's like extremely candid. Anyway, we do have a guest waiting, so thank you so much for coming on the show.
Always good.
Jordan, always a great
good to
time.
catch up.
Let's do it again soon. We'll talk to you later and have a great weekend.
Good to see you.
See you guys.
Cheers.
Before we bring in Chase from Crusoe, let me tell you about numeralhq.com. Sales tax and autopilot. Spend less than 5 minutes per month on sales tax compliance. We have Chase Lochmiller from Crusoe in the Reese Room waiting room. Now he's in the TBPN Ultradome. Welcome
Suited
to the
up.
show. You're looking fantastic. How are you, Chase? Congratulations are in order. Give us the breakdown. What's the news today?
Today we are announcing the closing of our Series E round of funding, valuing the company at $10.4 billion.
Gong. Another one. 10.4 million. 2 gong hits.
I don't know.
Fantastic.
How are you describing where the company, what you do? It's such a fascinating.
Yeah. What exactly do you do?
Because you've been doing
to
somewhat
prop
of the
up the
same
global
thing
economy.
for a very long time, and yet there's been multiple eras in terms of what the end customer has done. There's been where you sit in the stack, the type of size of project, scale of project. So, how are you describing the wheelhouse where Crusoe fits?
Yeah, I think putting it simply, Crusoe is an AI factory company. So what that means, we're building, these factories that produce intelligence. And this is both a hardware problem and a software problem. And we focus on all of the things ranging from cultivating the energy and helping develop the energy resources needed to power AI infrastructure. We're building out the data centers themselves and redesigning them to fit these large-scale accelerated computing clusters, and then we also built out this whole software platform that operates these large-scale AI factories so that they can actually be effective in producing intelligence and really enable our generation's greatest minds and entrepreneurs to do their life's work and help build and scale their AI applications to impact people around the world.
Is there a superlative that you're chasing in the neo cloud market? Do you want to be the firm that can build bigger than anyone else, or faster than anyone else, or more reliable? I mean, obviously you want to win on everything, but is there something that you're chasing that you think is like the true differentiator?
Yeah, I think right now, speed is the biggest focus for the business in terms of being able to move very, very quickly. It's a very dynamic market. But certainly, reliability, scale, cost, all these things really come into play. And ultimately, we want to deliver for our customers what they need, what adds value to them. So, being able to deliver, to our cloud customers the best price performance trade-off for their infrastructure solutions, alongside a reliable, well-managed platform, I think is, ultimately our goal. But I think being able to do that very, very quickly right now is a major advantage, and it's something that's very difficult to replicate when you look at, kind of what we did in Abilene, Texas. In terms of starting from nothing into a large scale AI factory that's managing or that's operating tens of thousands of GPUs at this point is a very important aspect to bringing this infrastructure to life.
So Abilene's is up and running.
Yeah, so we announced recently the first phases of the 1.2 gigawatt campus are up and operational today.
Operational. That's incredible, because I feel like there was like this whole press cycle about like, it's off track, and it's like this thing was announced like months ago. I expect these things to take years. I don't know. I feel like people aren't taking enough of a victory lap there.
Yeah, no, and I think there's been, Stargate's been this like very overloaded term in terms of being this. It's a company. It's a site, it's a concept, it's it's like, what is Stargate? I'm still not entirely sure, but there's I think we got wrapped up a little bit in the rumors swirling that this thing's behind, or that the company is behind, but the project has done extremely well.
People took the most expensive, the most ambitious vision and the shortest possible timeline, and that became what you were measured against, basically.
Yeah.
And so it was like, unless $1 trillion is in the ground working in 6 months, like it's over. It's like, wait, we never said that. We said
it rightfully had a lot of pressure because the project got announced via the president. That's not very standard for a launch.
It's a good tip for startups. If you want a spokesperson. The president would be a great one.
Tyler Cowen has a quote that's been going around quite a bit recently, which is like, don't underestimate the elasticity of supply in the context of, and it's been going around in the context of energy. It feels like Crusoe was started on this idea of like, there actually is a lot of energy out there and there's real demand for it. You just got to go out and find it. How much is that ringing true? And as you kind of evaluate, new sites and opportunities for your business?
No, that's absolutely the case. And I think that's one of the things that set us apart and enabled us to move quickly and build at scale is having this energy first approach to developing the infrastructure. Yeah. Part of our announcement today was announcing our energy pipeline, which is in excess of 45 gigawatts at this point. Putting into context, the Abilene campus is 1.2 gigawatts. So it's orders of magnitude larger, or an order and a half of magnitude and larger in terms of overall capacity there. I'm in New York City today. It's something on the order of 8 New York City's worth of power. So it's a very substantial amount of power that's going to be required fundamentally for AI to scale and to really reach the ambitions and hopes of the industry.
Last question, we'll let you go. Last time you were on, we kind of walked through a little bit of a debunk of we're going to run out of water for data centers. What's your current thinking on the story that's emerging around like data centers are going to drive up my energy prices? Is that solvable on the short term? Is this going to be some short-term pain for long-term gain? Is it something that you need to rethink regulation or just speed up building of new energy? How are you thinking about that question? Because it seems like it's going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah. So I actually found it fascinating. There was a report that came out recently that showed actually in markets with substantial data center investment, the overall cost to ratepayers actually came down, compared to other markets where there was less digital infrastructure being built, where prices actually went up substantially. I really see this trend playing out as a whole, because what ends up happening is the digital infrastructure players, the folks building the data centers, at this point, a lot of the energy market is saturated, and there isn't just a bunch of free power laying around, underutilized, not doing much. There's some of that, but it's becoming more and more scarce, which means that in order to realize all of these ambitions that are taking place in AI, we actually have to build out a lot of net new power. We need to build new power plants. We need to build new creative energy solutions to effectively energize this infrastructure. And when data centers are doing that, they're having to build out power capacity that meets their overall peak demands of the facility. And as a result, it ends up, with some incremental power that is being underutilized and can become an asset to other participants in those energy markets, and really actually bring down their overall cost of power because there's more abundant power. And that really goes in line with, the Crusoe mission, which is accelerating the abundance of energy and intelligence. We really view those two things as the key pillars of progress in this chapter for humanity.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's definitely, there's a bunch of different political frameworks where you could use to understand where this is going, but it feels very solvable.
One last question that probably would take 10 minutes to properly answer, but how much are you banking on nuclear on a shorter time horizon, if at all? Talking, 5-year timeline.
Yeah, so we're really excited with a lot of the advancements happening in the nuclear space. We have a number of partnerships across the SMR ecosystem, including a plan to energize the first SMR-powered AI factory in 2027. That's going to be sort of a smaller scale deployment, but we think will be a great template for us to hopefully scale and bring new nuclear-powered AI infrastructure to life. It's also, this has been a huge priority for Chris Wright in terms of, helping create a regulatory framework for nuclear and sort of reevaluating the NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, in terms of how do we actually enable the private sector to build the energy necessary to power demands of society, data centers, being a big component of that. So, very excited, and I think it's going to be a huge win. And then, there's also the big nuclear plants that, I'm excited to see come to life again as well. Westinghouse, is announcing, a number of very big APW1000 campuses that, we think will play another big part in terms of getting the power we need for intelligence.
I'm very excited about that. I hope that we get all those campuses online as fast as possible. Well, thank you so much for coming by the show. Sorry to
Great
keep
to get the
you
update.
late. We will talk to you soon. Congratulations on the match.
Congrats to the whole team.
Guys,
Awesome.
always great to see you. Yeah,
Fantastic progress.
Thanks
We'll
so
talk to
much.
you soon. Have
Talk
a great
soon.
weekend.
Cheers.
Up next, we have Tucker from Orion Technologies. We are running a little bit behind. Let me tell you about Fin.ai, the #1 AI agent for customer service, #1 in performance benchmarks, #1 in competitive bake-offs, #1 ranking on G2. And let's bring in Tucker for a quick hit of the gong. Give us the news. Tell us what you're building. We
Welcome to the show.
would love to ring the gong for you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I can't hear you really. It sounds like you're speaking in slow motion.
Oh,
Check,
odd.
check.
For some
Check.
reason.
1, 2. Orion Technologies, you're coming out of stealth. Would love to hear about the raise. If you can take us through just the high level, we can ring the gong, and maybe we can try and have you back on later. Do we have Tucker? Let's see. We might need to move on if we have technical difficulties. We can always have you back on the show another day. Should we move
Like
on?
mallet.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you great.
We can hear you great. Let's
All
see.
right. I can hear you guys, but it sounds very slow for some reason.
Okay.
Okay, we'll let you do
My
it.
name
One
is Tucker.
question. Yes.
I'm the CEO of I'm the CEO of Orion Technologies, and we're coming out of stealth after a $3.5 million pre-seed.
Let's go. Jordy, ring that gong. Thank you very much. Take us one level deeper about the problem, the solution, what you're building, and then we do have to move on, but please give us a little bit more on the progress of the company, some of the decisions that you've made, how you're thinking about building the company.
Yeah, so we are building essentially the interoperability layer for manned and unmanned aircraft. So what does that actually mean? We enable manned and unmanned aircraft to communicate, coordinate, and deconflict. And we're starting with heterogeneous assets, so drones built from different vendors within cities and around airports today.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations. We're going to have you back on later. We'll do a technical check next time. But have a great rest of your day. Have a good weekend. And
congrats on the race.
Congrats on the race. We'll talk to you soon. While we bring in our next guest, let me tell you about ADIO, Customer Relationship Magic. ADIO is the AI native CRM that builds, scales, and grows your company to the next level. You can get started for free.
New technical difficulty unlocked. We haven't seen that before.
We have Catherine from Valthos coming into the TBPN Ultradome. She, I believe, is in the Restream waiting room. Let's bring in Kathleen. Welcome
What's
back
happening?
to the show.
Welcome back.
We had you on the show. And it was a very fun conversation, and there were some things that we could talk about. There were some things that we couldn't talk about. I'm glad that we're here today, and we have plenty to talk about. But please kick us off with an introduction on a little bit more on yourself and the company and what you're announcing today.
Yeah, last time I was here, I was so stealthy, but
yes.
Now very excited to announce what we've been working on. I'm Kathleen. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Valthos, which is the next generation biodefense company. So we are trying to build infrastructure for American biodefense.
Amazing.
And when we had you on, there was some wasn't it? There was some story in the news about like some like Chinese scientists that were bringing some type of bioweapon around, or at least working on it. So good to have you back with some more happy news.
I'd love to know the state of what are the case studies that you're latching on to. In the early days of Anduril, there was this narrative around the rising power of China and our decrepit military systems. People would talk about the failure of the delays with the F-35 program. Do you have particular case studies and stories that you like to ground the story of your company with?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're talking about biodefense broadly, the big problem is asymmetry. So it is just so much easier, cheaper, and faster to make a pathogen than it is to make any kind of cure. Yeah. And that's just at the heart of everything we're talking about. Yeah. It was true before AI, but what's really changed is how some of these new AI capabilities are magnifying that type of asymmetry. It's two big ways that we're focused on in terms of the case studies you were saying. The first is more about uplift. So it's how many people, how much technical skill set does it take to actually engineer a pathogen? And that's just dropping week over week. So we used to be worried about these sophisticated state-sponsored programs. You can read what our folks in defense are focused on in Russia and North Korea. Now we can talk about a couple students, maybe at the grad level, who have access to a lab, and that's probably going down to one or two as these capabilities expand. So massively different landscape. Yep. The second side is just how potentially lethal can these fits be? So we're getting.
I think we have more technical difficulties. It's a technical difficulty day.
Oh no!
It's Friday. The internet is slow, but you're back.
I'm back.
Please, maybe I can reframe the conversation, not to kind of just cut you off and restart, but. People have been saying we need an Anduril for bio for a while. Is that an appropriate moniker? And maybe we could use the Anduril example as understanding a little bit deeper on what you want to build, because I think of Anduril as very much, separate from Palantir. They're building hardware. They're building specific programs of record for the DoD, competing against the primes. Are there companies that you're going to be competing with out of the gate? How do you think about the shape of the business as it grows? Is this on our side? Are we having technical difficulties on our side today?
It might be a Zoom. Thing.
Is there a major attack? Let's flip over to the production team. What do you guys have to say for yourselves? What's going on?
I don't know. Is it AWS 2.0?
Tyler,
It could easily be us. I seem to be back now.
Okay, I think we have. I think
All
you're
right,
back.
one more chance.
Okay.
At talking about the Andrew comparison.
Please.
I would say probably much closer to Palantir than Andrew. I mean, one of the obvious ones is like what does our product look like? And we're talking about software. And how we bring like the best frontier capabilities to both understand what a threat is and then very quickly design a countermeasure to it. How do we take those things that are largely in academic labs, emerging really quickly, and put it into something that's operational? Yeah. That could actually react in the time as real-time data flows in, and you actually need to design a countermeasure. But in terms of the overall, do we need private sector innovation in this space? Absolutely. Like the people in defense and health that are absolutely at the front lines of this, keeping us safe now. The pace of biotech innovation is so massively outpacing our ability to react to it that like we have to start bringing these types of tools to really augment the defenses that we have today.
Yeah. Question from the chat. Trey asks, Moderna designed the C-19 vaccine in 2 days into clinical dev today. The slow part is often validation, trials, manufacturing, and access distribution. Is Valthos solving for that for biodefense?
Thanks, Trey. Yes, I think a huge part of it is how accurate you can make predictions that are coming from computational models. How do those translate into clinical development, translational? Can you actually have a really precise understanding of what these therapeutics look like as soon as you start designing them in silico? So that's a huge part of our focus is as more and more generative methods for countermeasure design come online, how could we help the people that are designing those drugs really quickly understand whether it will be effective against whatever kind of evolution we're seeing in terms of the pathogen landscape? I think on the manufacturing and supply chain side, another massive problem when we think about overall biosecurity for America. It's not the first challenge we're taking on, but it's certainly something we'll partner on in the future.
How do you think about I don't know, there's like ISR versus like actual bombs or something in the Anduril context. Like Palantir might make a map of like where all the bad guys are, and then Anduril might be the one that builds the missile. How do you think about like, does America have the ability to pull up a dashboard of every different strain of flu that is at LAX right now? Because I know LAX is like a famous petri dish of just like different flus and colds because everyone's traveling from all over. Do we have the ability as a country to actually understand what's going on biologically across the country?
Largely, no. It's getting better. I think there's two dimensions to it. So a lot of the innovation we've seen in the last couple of years is focused on, do we even have like the lens? Like, is the data even flowing in of what's circulating in LAX? Or I'm closer to JFK, so that's the one that really hits home that I get worried about. The part that we're focused on and what I think has to be the next step is how do you take those data inputs and make them actionable so you can do something with it? So pathogens aren't static. It's not like there is something today and that's what we need to worry about. It's how is this changing, which means that in 2 weeks, what is the shape of this that we're going to have to hit? So a big part of what we're focused on is trying to understand these are the things that are emerging today. How quickly do we know that there are threats? And then what do we need to change in terms of the countermeasures that we have to be ready for what's ever coming? So really focused, and I think that's where a lot of the Palantir analogy comes in. It's not data for data's sake. It's how do you actually pull that data into the decision-making process so that you can start seeing changes in operations. And that's what we're excited to do.
That makes a ton of sense. Give us the fundraising news. What happened? What's coming out of Stealth?
Well, we are very proud to announce that we raised $30 million.
Congratulations.
Incredible. Who are the backers?
Bunch of no-names, right? You really had to scrape the bottom of the barrel. You had to put together a ragtag group of, you could barely call these guys venture capitalists.
Everyone wants to prevent bioweapons. What can I say?
No, it's a murderer's row. You got a bunch of great bunch of great firms in.
FF?
Founders Fund,
we do.
Lux.
We have Founders Fund and Lux. They've been with us from the beginning.
There you go.
And then we just had OpenAI, their startup friend, join in to help lead the round. They're like they have been ringing the alarm on what the risk of some of these new frontier methods are for bio, like way before anyone. And we're super excited to partner with them to try to stop it.
Well, congratulations.
Incredible.
Would love to have you back on the show whenever the next announcement is, whenever the next progress point comes, or
Probably
whenever,
soon.
hopefully we don't have to be giving you a
Yeah,
call when
let's-
bad stuff happens. We can just talk about product
celebrate.
releases and
Celebrate these wins.
You'll be like a good cornerback in the NFL. We won't hear about you because you will be defending us, and we won't be calling you
Oh,
when something bad
perfect.
happens.
We'll prevent the headline.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks so
Great
much.
to have
a
you.
great rest of your
Congrats to
day.
the team.
Let me tell you about 8sleep.com. I put up a generational run last night, 98. I slept for like 10 hours. It was fantastic. Jordy, how'd you do? Did you
91.
91.
How many hours
Yeah.
did you actually sleep?
Let's pull it up while we bring in our next guest.
Yeah,
I slept 8 hours and 42 minutes.
Wow. And I got to the gym.
Get a pod
I
five.
got to the gym
Before
30,
me.
at least 30 minutes before you.
yeah,
And
I
my
was-
drive is twice as long.
This whole week
so
has
you were
been a mess
slacking.
for me.
You
I
were
was slacking. But our next guest is from NVIDIA. Dion Harris is here.
Welcome to the
break
show.
it down for us. How are you doing?
And
Welcome
looking incredibly sharp.
You look fantastic.
Thanks for having me. I didn't want to make you guys look bad, so I even threw on the jacket.
Oh, yeah. You
Fan of the show, by
dressed
the
down
way.
a little
so
bit. Thanks so
that's right.
much.
So great to have you on. And great to meet.
Would love to get a little bit of an introduction on yourself and where you sit in NVIDIA. It's not the smallest company in the world. It is, in fact, the largest company in the world. But how do you position yourself within the firm? What's top of mind for you today?
Sure. Thanks for having me again. So Dion Harris, I'm the Senior Director of our HPC AI and Cloud Solutions Group. So not a very imaginative marketing name, which means I run a lot of our HPC, Scientific Computing National Labs. Obviously, we're here in DC, so lots of engagement supporting a lot of our national labs, both here in the U.S. and across the world. And of course, AI and cloud it speaks for itself in terms of a lot of our hyperscale clients, as well as the cloud providers who are building and delivering on our platform. So engaging with a lot of those folks, partners, customers, and internally, obviously, to bring those solutions to market.
Yeah. How big do you have like a headline number that you're thinking about broadly for just AI infrastructure? It's the hottest topic these days, but how do you think about forecasting AI infrastructure and where we'll be in a few years?
Well, I think Jensen has been on record, and I think it's a pretty sound sort of estimate. We expect it to be about $3 to $4 trillion in AI infrastructure spend. Yeah, that's a big number. It's with a T. So, and I think what's really driving that, and I've been listening to the show and here, there's a ton of demand for how and where AI can be put to use. Of course, we're familiar with the chatbots that we use and to speed up our email communications and to review and spell check. Those are great use cases, but what's really exciting is when you see it being used to detect new drugs. And so there's new use cases that are happening in drug discovery all the time. I do a ton of work with national labs and seeing how it's being applied to climate and weather, being able to replace a lot of our old numerical-based approaches. And so using AI to go and tackle really big problems that we all care about, even if we don't see and use those applications every day, we're impacted by them, right? And so what's really driving that number is, like I said, also looking at how AI is being brought to industries. You're going to hear a lot about next week when we announce at GTC how we're helping industry adopt AI. And this is really important, not just in terms of the bottom line of U.S. companies, but really making the U.S. competitive in a global scale, right? Making sure that we can deploy and run and build and manufacture at an efficiency that makes us competitive on a global scale. And so that's really going to be a lot of what we talk about here at GTC next week.
Do you have one of the easier jobs in tech? Just because if I'm a data center operator, I have to answer questions about, am I using natural gas or clean energy? And if I'm an inference model creator, I have to answer questions about, are the answers truthful or are they fair? Or am I generating something that's valuable or am I generating slop? But NVIDIA, I feel like, has it's just the perfect business because you're already optimizing for the most efficiency. So no one can say, you're not taking energy efficiency seriously. Like that's the entire point.
And no one can say you're unprofitable.
and no one can say you're unprofitable. So like, how are you feeling good right now? Are you feeling happy? I don't know.
Yeah,
So
what's the
I
energy
think-
like even internally at NVIDIA? I'm curious. It's got to be such a wild
It feels
environment.
great.
It's definitely incredibly crazy right now. But what I would say is just because there's so much interest and excitement around not just AI but accelerated computing. A lot of what we do, we're an accelerated computing company at heart, and there's over $1 trillion of infrastructure that's still moving from CPU to GPUs. In fact, Oracle just last week announced that they're going to be accelerating their classic database.
No way.
Now most people don't think about databases.
That's crazy on GPUs.
And they're back-ending every major application. And so, when we think about NVIDIA, obviously accelerated computing is how we've really got started. And now that we're in this era of AI, we're really looking to help power every application across multiple industries. But to answer your question, we wake up thinking about how can we make our platform better? And how can we make it more efficient? Because that's really at the core of the value for our customers. But we're actually doing a ton of work beyond just our core platforms. In fact, our solutions are shaping and redefining how the data center overall is built. And so a lot of the work that we're doing is building solutions and blueprints and reference architectures that help the entire ecosystem get ready for what we're building, which delivers more efficiency at the end state. So again, I think our position is unique in the marketplace in that we totally see and understand all the new models that are being developed and coming to market. We obviously understand what our products are going to be able to do today and going forward. And we therefore are giving lots of insight into all the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing infrastructure providers, the power generation folks,
How do you
the
think
grid
about
providers.
balancing?
We're giving lots of feedback all the way up and down the supply chain.
That Oracle database on GPU thing it feels massive to me. It feels like very significant, like immediately, very tangible. Performance benefits. I can imagine. I haven't seen the actual stats, but I imagine it's extremely. It's going to be more efficient or faster. But how do you balance marketing sort of stories like that, stories about the AI build out with stuff that's more futuristic, more further out? There was a lot of debate on the timeline this week about
StarCloud.
How fast GPUs will be in space, and everyone's saying look, we love this founder. We're having him on the show actually next week. It's a really exciting project, but I think everyone kind of agrees that this is not going to happen tomorrow. And the rendering, the sci-fi is more of a sci-fi movie that they put out. It shows whole truckloads of GPUs moving around in space. How do you think about balancing that from the NVIDIA brand perspective?
Well, from our perspective, we recognize that, like I said, there's a lot of interest and investment, like we talked about, that $3 to $4 trillion that's going to be invested in AI infrastructure. And of course, that infrastructure is going to be deployed, in lots of different areas. Obviously, as we've talked about how a lot of the concentration historically has been around, highly populated, dense areas. But now we recognize, AI factories can exist anywhere. They can exist anywhere where there's cheap, clean power. And so obviously space is some place where there's lots of renewable energy. So, I suspect that will certainly be a place where data centers will land eventually. But right now, we're really focused on how can we help build the infrastructure that's right in front of us and help really deploy that in the most efficient, performant way as possible. And of course, along the way, make sure that we're adding value, because that's really what we're here to do for not just ourselves, but the broader ecosystem.
You would laugh. We were running the numbers on building a hearth or a wood-powered data center or server here at the studio. We think
it's surprisingly doable. Out of a normal fireplace, we believe you could potentially power 8 H100s and fine-tune GPT OSS however you want it over the course of a day, basically.
We want to be the first NVIDIA customer to be focused on the wood-powered data center.
Yes,
it's our own part of the market map.
It's very cozy to chop firewood and boil water as they did hundreds of years ago.
Well, I'm super excited for GTC next week.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah,
thank you so much for giving us a little preview.
For giving us the preview.
And
thanks for
having
me.
Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Great hanging.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Before we bring in our next guest, let me tell you about Public.com, investing for those that take it seriously. They got multi-asset investing, industry-leading yields, and they're trusted by millions.
Soon billions.
I think we might actually have a 1-minute break before our next guest comes in. There's no one in the Restream waiting room, or is there? No, not yet. So give us a post, Jordy Hayes. If someone is smart but has bad aesthetics, normies will not take them seriously. This is good. Aesthetic contains real information. This post is from Defender of Basic. That this category of smart people can't read, and if they gain power, these blind spots will lead to their undoing. I completely botched this reading. This is a mess.
Here's another one. Alex Danko. Sundar Pichai said yesterday or a couple days ago, new breakthrough quantum algorithm published in Nature today. Our Willow chip has achieved the first ever verifiable quantum advantage. Willow ran the algorithm, which we've named Quantum Echoes, 13,000 times faster than the best classical algorithm on one of the world's fastest supercomputers. This new algo can explain interactions between atoms in a molecule using nuclear magnetic resonance, paving a path toward potential future uses in drug discovery and materials science. The result is verifiable, meaning its outcome can be repeated by other quantum computers or confirmed by experiments. This breakthrough is a significant step toward the first real-world application of quantum computing, and we're excited to see where it leads. Again, see this positioning, right? It's positioned as an internal science project.
Yes.
Of course, he's saying it's a step toward the first real-world application of quantum.
Did you see what Martin Shkreli said?
What did he say?
Contrived result, still not faster / advantaged. He's like so bearish.
Alex Danko, though, says, I'm sorry if this is a dumb question, but
Elon
why
said congrats. And I think when I see this and I see the algorithm and I see how they're talking about it, it really does feel like, yes, over the next decade, like there could be some really, really powerful niche use cases that are extremely valuable here.
It's a good quantum computer, sir.
I agree. But
one more post before we go.
Did you want to explain why quantum computers look like that? Because that's what Alex Danko is asking, and there is an answer. It's because they need to be cooled. They need to be really cold, and so you have to hang it instead of attaching it to the floor. Each layer of the chandelier is colder down to the last one where the quantum computation is taking place. And so you see this chandelier funneling smaller and smaller and colder until you get to the very, very tip. I don't know. Interesting. Well, we have our next guest in the Restream waiting room. Let's bring him in to the TBPN Ultradome. How are you doing, Burkay?
Burkay, welcome.
Good to see you.
Up, guys.
What's happening? Huge day.
Congratulations on all the news.
in the fall ecosystem.
Thank you. So today we are doing our inaugural Generative Media Conference.
Nice.
I'm in the Ferry Building.
Very cool.
You can probably tell. Beautiful venue. It's a big milestone for us. We thought that generative media really needs its space, and we need to talk about it because it's an extremely big deal, and we thought we would honor this industry by throwing a big event where foundational models are coming here, people from the industry are here. Jeffrey Katzenberg actually,
no way,
legend.
Very cool.
That was pretty awesome. Yeah.
So what are attendees trying to understand or advance their
what are people
understanding
talking
of,
about?
There is this is becoming a full industry, right?
Yeah.
So there's many kinds of people here. So there's people from foundational model labs. So they're trying to build these models, compete against the big giants, right? And it's a very diverse space. So unlike the language model market where you have a few big winners, here we're seeing like hundreds of companies building models, customizing models, and using their customers are using in production. So there's foundational models, there's people from the industry, so media. We had a talk from an architecture firm that's using generative media in production.
Very cool.
And like early stage founders and even like some big Hollywood names, like big production studios.
Yeah, are people focused now on benchmarks, evals, certain niche capabilities? Like we're starting to see this like kind of refragmentation, I feel like, where Sora can do cameos and VO3 could do audio and certain Krea can do lip syncing well. And there's all these different sub applications where it feels like if you're a buyer of generative media, of tokens, or I don't know, frames, I guess. You are really looking for the right tool for the job, and you might have to kind of go through the haystack to find the needle that fits your use case specifically. Is that the general vibe?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's definitely alignment on how these models are getting more specialized. On one hand, there's general models, like I think VO is pretty general, right? Like it can do many things. But on another hand, you need more, and what we're hearing from people is you need more and more specific workflows.
Yep.
So workflows is a very big topic, and we are now in the like kind of usefulness utility phase of this whole space, where like there we go.
Let's give it up for utility and usefulness. Love it.
So what we're seeing is people are building this tooling, right? So they're building the application layer such that these downstream users from marketing, architecture, gaming, movies, so that like the creatives can start using this technology.
Yeah.
What's your view on how Hollywood has most recently been kind of navigating Gen AI? We've heard from folks in the industry that people are experimenting with it, but they're hesitant to even talk about it too much because they get so much blowback from, we're here down in LA. There's a lot of people that aren't excited about Gen AI for a number of reasons, but how do you see Hollywood navigating this current moment?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely feeling like a shift in the vibes. So they're definitely turning towards the side of like experimentation. I know there's like a few good projects in the pipeline that are going to come out. I think we're going to see this shift happening towards the end of the year, early next year. And yeah, we see very big players actually embracing this tech. And yeah, it's gonna be
somebody in the chat
year next year.
Somebody in the chat just said you guys should get Hollywood on as a guest.
We should.
We'll work on that. Another question I had is I don't know how much you can share, but what's Sora 2 adoption been like so far? How quickly are a number of different application layer companies kind of turning it on and burning up the GPUs?
Yeah, it's been we don't have like full visibility into Sora's adoption, but from what we know it is a very good model for like a very certain aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
Like you can probably tell that it is extremely fine-tuned on social content.
Yep.
So yeah, it is getting amazing adoption, but this space is virtually infinite. Like there's literally all sorts of things you can do. That's why we believe like this. We're just in the beginning, and yeah, it's just a form factor, right? And it's just one kind of model. We think there's gonna be many versions.
Totally.
Can you walk me
but
through?
my immediate reaction to Sora is like I could see this being used for like very specific. If you wanted to generate UGC style ads, it could probably do a decent job at that. But that same application would also want to generate ads in a bunch of different styles, right? Cinematic styles, things like that.
Exactly. And yeah, like don't get me wrong. I think that model, like it's the pre-training versus post-training. Like it's I would speculate that it is really fine-tuned on this like social use case, but that doesn't mean that there is no amazing model in the back of it. So technically they can crank out different things for different use cases.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, I could go so much deeper on all this and all the like comparisons of all the models. We'll have to have you back, and because I know you're at your conference and obviously need to get back and meet customers and whatnot. But thank you so much for taking the time to stop
Thanks for
by
having
and
yeah,
chatting.
excited to have a bunch more folks on in the next 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, this will be great. We'll talk to you soon. Have a
Great
great
to see you.
weekend.
These guys.
Let me tell you about AdQuick.com. Out-of-home advertising made easy and measurable. Say goodbye to the headaches of out-of-home advertising. Only AdQuick combines technology, out-of-home expertise, and data to enable efficient, seamless ad buying across the globe. Our next guest is Glenn Solomon from Notable. We'll bring him in to the TBPN Ultradome.
What's going on? Can you hear me? I cannot hear you. We don't have audio yet. No audio. I'm sure the production team is working on it. I will tell you when I can hear you. So just, I guess, keep chatting, I guess. Still nothing. How we doing, folks? We got nothing. We got nothing coming through. AGI is just days away, and we need AGI to put some resources towards technical difficulties for podcast live streamers. Anyways, I'll kill time. Here's a post yesterday.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, I think we got something coming
Can you hear
through.
me?
I can hear you.
Jordy, great. This is Glenn.
It's so great to see you, Glenn. An amazing setup here. Are you? Did you already give a talk? Are you going to give a talk, or are you just?
I've been enjoying the amazing talk so far, and I'm excited to talk to you about them.
Amazing. Why don't you give a quick intro on yourself and your firm, and then we can get into reactions from the event.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Glenn Solomon, managing partner at Notable Capital. We've been in business for 25 years. We're a global venture capital firm focused on software infrastructure. And one of the key personas we focus on is the software developer. We backed companies over the years like Vercel recently, HashiCorp, some great businesses that we've been very fortunate to work with.
What was the exact moment that you founded the firm?
25 years ago, 2000.
No, I know, but like, what was it? 2000? Was it March? Was it during the crash? Like when? Do you remember the month specifically?
It was February, so early in the year.
So you basically went on a roller coaster. You started up here and then just.
That's actually
little known fact, though. It's actually good to found a firm right about then because you don't get in.
Yeah.
You can deploy. You can deploy in the valley of despair.
Wow.
Exactly.
That is a great timing.
Well.
Great timing. Amazing. So walk us through some reactions to the event so far.
So, it's been really cool to be here. It's the first generative media conference that Valthos put on, really their first user conference. And there's about 300 people here, and you can just feel the energy amongst the developers who are building all kinds of amazing applications using generative media. It kind of reminds me, I was lucky enough to invest early in HashiCorp in 2016. I was at their first user conference up in Portland, and there was 150 people in the room. Basically, anybody who wanted to attend could. And it was, a bunch of very intrepid DevOps professionals who saw the future somewhat similar to HashiCorp. And the reason I mention is because 4 or 5 years later, at their user conference in San Francisco, there was 5,000 people. And I think this is the start of something very similar. We're going to see this industry grow dramatically over the next several years, and it would not surprise me if, Dreamforce lookout. This generative media conference is going to be really big over the next several years.
I believe it. What Burkay was saying, there's an architecture firm talking at the event on how they're using. What are some of the other maybe more like edge cases, niche use cases that you're seeing?
Well, definitely advertising, marketing, your feed on social media, entertainment, education. All of these things people spend dramatic amounts of money today, hundreds of billions of dollars on content production for traditional media. I think that's all going to shift over time. And we're just starting to see the early days of that. But clearly there's going to be a shift because using generative media, you can move much quicker, it's less expensive, you can be much more targeted in what you do. So I think all those industries are in experimentation mode, maybe first, second inning, but it's early. But one of the things I heard about today that I thought was really interesting is really the net new applications that I think are going to come as well, things that don't exist yet today. A good maybe harbinger of that would be, like if you've ever been to the Sphere, in Las Vegas, you look at the geometry there and the just sheer size of the place. Traditional media couldn't really solve that problem and create an immersive experience. And so that's a great area where generative media is doing something that couldn't be done in the past. So I think you're going to see both replacement and over time net new. And I think that's why people are so excited about what's going on here today.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for stopping by the show. We'd love to talk to you more, but
the first guest appearance from a podium.
Yeah,
Chat
loves the podium.
Hey, I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. This has been awesome. Thank you, guys.
Amazing. Well, come back on again soon and have fun out there. Give our best to everybody at the event.
We will.
Will do. Thanks.
You're the man.
Awesome.
Cheers.
We'll talk to you soon. Let me tell you about Bezel. You got to go to getbezel.com.
Just
You
just
need
do
your
it.
Bezel
Get
concierge.
a hitter.
They're available now to source
on
you any watch on
the
the
wrist.
planet.
I'm really
definitely
pushing
our
John
funniest.
to get the Cubitus. I think it's
that'd be
time. Green
fantastic.
dial.
Well,
I wish I had more time to
Yes.
give you my full case for it, but we will move on to our next guest.
we have Diego Rodriguez from Crea in the Restream waiting room. Welcome to the show, Diego. How are you doing?
Welcome.
How you
What's
doing?
happening?
Talk to me about the AI suite for creatives. I'm particularly interested in this debate between like chopping wood and creating new workflows for specific video generation or AI use versus like trying to instantiate some things on the fly. I always see these like, I made this amazing AI video. Here's how I did it. And it's piecing together like 3 different steps where they fine-tuned on their face and they did a special model that had a beginning and an ending frame, and then they did some sort of control net on top of it, and then they up-resed it. And how are you thinking about actually piecing all the different tools together in a way that it's like the final UI, effectively?
I'm here like at the fall conference, and my talk is actually exactly about that. It's
Okay,
like
perfect.
I don't know. It's kind of frustrating to see people being like, "This AI generated, this is not." Dude, it's a new medium.
Yeah,
like
I don't
it's
care about
just
that.
a new medium. So like whenever I see a frame by say now Hollywood is starting to
Sure.
toy around with these tools, like the best people tell you like you don't ask them like do you use Photoshop or After Effects or Houdini or AI? It's like
Yeah.
dude, all of it. Like this was even a dialogue when we were discussing about a certain idea. That's also part of the process of making things.
Yep.
I think we're far from automating like true storytelling, which is why we need tools. Where's the pencil for the latent space? That's what we need.
Yeah. How do you think about what the actual product looks like that people want at each level of scale? Like enterprise is fine with APIs, and they will have a team of software engineers like build the tools exactly that they need. Then the prosumer might be fine with a node-based workflow or something that's a little bit more, fine-tuning parameters under the hood, but then they want something that's maybe repeatable that they can jump in and out of. And then the final consumer wants like, how you see those like dedicated app just the face swapping app. And like face swapping is obviously a feature that should exist in the node-based workflow, in Crea, in a prosumer, in a professional tool. So how do you think about like checking the box on all the features out of the gate versus leaving enough flexibility that your users might get lost because you don't handhold as much?
I think that like these barriers are let's call them vestigial concepts from our culture. I think like we think those barriers are there because of where we come from, which is like, okay, we used to have the professional who goes to Photoshop, and everyone that is maybe doesn't need as much control goes to something like Canva. And then if you're just a random person that is toying around with making stuff, then you use a certain iOS app or whatever. But the reality is that a lot of these barriers used to just be APIs, like a certain plugin or a certain API call or whatever. And with Vibe coding, they are blurring out now. So I actually see consumers who ask me, can you get an API? Because I Vibe coded some things. And then I actually get enterprises being like, oh, your UI is actually one of the best ones. And that's why we are doing these things. So I think that this is a time full of uncertainty. And when you have uncertainty, the only thing that can ground you is first principles. So you have to kind of like go back to Monkey, go back to the beginning, like think about what is truly true and what is just marketing fluff.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking is,
do you think images and video are 2 separate products long term? Like Premiere Pro is a different product than Photoshop. They are different, and even Lightroom is another product in the Adobe ecosystem. I can imagine it's just pixels. You can clearly put all the tools in one bucket, one app. Adobe didn't. Is that vestigial, or will we see another separation?
I think separation will be here in the short term and midterm, because you can argue that like as we advance, there's actually even more separation, right? Like at first, books were only in a certain way, and now there's a myriad of formats and images, and like, can you even do books for for kids where they even have things inside that they are like animations even. So I feel like as we push the medium, and by medium I mean the latent space forward, we will actually realize that we need way more tools than we thought we needed, and that's why we're starting. Like we see kind of like this Cambrian explosion of like, okay, we have ControlNet, we have ComfyUI, we have Krea, but then in Krea you can like jump in between tools, and then you can use, say, an image model within many tools. And that's the key part, which is you said it's just pixels, and it's like, yeah, but guess what? Like a song can be represented as pixels if you have a certain frequency diagram. It's just pixels too. So at the end of the day,
sheet music. When you scan sheet music, that's pixels.
Yeah. So what we have at the end of the day is a technology that can understand like information in almost its more distilled form. That technology can move around products, but the products will be different. However, they will all use that same technology. And that's what we're seeing. Node-based tool, image tool, iOS app, all connect to our image model, for instance, with Krea 1 or Flux Context or whatever, but it's different applications.
Fascinating.
We like to hit the gong for guests.
Oh, yes.
How many users does Krea have? What's the latest?
Give us some stats. Give us some numbers. What you got?
Some big numbers.
Last time I checked signups, it was like over 30 million.
Congratulations.
And
that's wild.
Yeah, and then, but like I'm actually more interested in participating in like the enterprise because I'm starting to see true business adoption. And that's where it starts to be starts being a fad.
Very auspicious gong ringing. I don't know if you can hear it, but the gong is still ringing for you. Something about how I hit it. It's very good. It's a very good omen.
A bullish hit.
It was very good omen for your company. 30 million. I just want to take a second because we get lost in like the AI boom or whatever. That 30 million is so many. That is such a huge impact to have on a product that you've built. So sincerely, like massive congratulations. That's very, very big. I feel like Sam Altman's out there throwing around trillions and stuff, and we lose track of the fact that
30 million
is a lot of users. And congratulations. That's very great. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Have fun at the event.
Yep.
We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Have a good one. Up next, we have Justine Moore from A16Z. This is her second time on the show, third time on the show.
Dylan in the chat
We've
says,
had her
I felt
on
that gong hit in my soul.
That gong hit was wild. Justine Moore, can you hear us? We're back on the podium. Hopefully we have audio. Fantastic.
Here we go, loud and clear.
Welcome back.
Here. It's great to be back, guys.
Fantastic. What is new from you?
Wait. Open screen time. I want to know how much Sora.
This is a good question.
Let's see it.
Okay.
Let's see it.
We know she loves
guys,
slop.
this is not going to be super impressive because I mostly use Sora on desktop.
Oh, okay.
You're a desktop user.
I would guess if I had to guess, it's probably like 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes.
Okay, in the feed, or making
stuff, right?
I think I like the phone. When I do it on the phone, I like to scroll through the feed and see what other people are making. On desktop, there's a lot more controllability with like the storyboard and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you can do landscape as well.
Oh yeah. Do you feel like you've given Sora the app enough data that you're actually getting fine-tuned recommendations, or are you just seeing the cream of the crop because there isn't enough to give you specific things that you like? Take the temperature on the feed. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I think it is not yet enough content to be able to have a very personalized feed for everyone.
Yep.
But I'm not sure because I haven't seen anyone else's feed.
Sure.
They might be super different.
Yeah. Because like if I go on TikTok and I say I like car videos and you go on TikTok and you say you like boat videos, like pretty quickly we're both going to just get unlimited cars and no boats and vice versa.
Yes.
Interesting. How are you thinking about, we were just talking to Krea about this, like winning in the application layer for creativity. Like Sora is a creative tool you can create on desktop with the storyboard. There's this world where we wind up with one app that instantiates UI on the fly, lets you do everything. There's another one where we see even more bifurcation, just like we have Lightroom and Photoshop and Premiere and After Effects. We could wind up with 20 apps for individual little fine-tune a face, up-res over here. How do you think it's going to play out?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, honestly, at the beginning of the wave, we thought maybe there'd be a little bit more concentration than there has been. The market just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we keep seeing more specialized apps. I think because these creative AI tools are enabling all of these people who couldn't create content before to make content for the first time. And so that unlocks a bunch of different verticals who weren't using creative tools much before. So my guess is like there'll be some kind of horizontal tooling layers, whether they're for developers, like what the folks at Fall are doing, which is awesome, or for consumers, prosumers. And then I think we're also going to start seeing more vertical specific applications, just like we've seen with LLMs, honestly. Like we've seen a lot of for accounting, for law, for finance.
Sure.
Different industries and different personas have different use cases and workflows.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't thought about it that way because when I think of like an AI law firm, I don't think about them as like fine-tuning tokens or like running a specific, but it is very much the same. How are you thinking about the mobile versus desktop divide? You're obviously experiencing it on Sora, but are you seeing a bifurcation where you might actually back a company that's saying, oh, we're going after mobile Gen AI in this particular niche, or we're going desktop? And is that a meaningful designation, or are companies with vibe coding able to kind of go multi-platform on day one? Obviously OpenAI was, but they have a lot of resources.
I think sort of the mobile versus desktop speaks a lot to sort of the user persona and use case. What we've seen so far is that stuff that blows up on mobile tends to be consumer products where you don't have to put a ton of work into editing the output, into having super long prompts, things like Sora 2 or like Lensa, if you guys remember, which blew up a couple of years ago now to make these like AI profile pictures of you.
Lensa was huge.
I think like true creative workflows and really detailed editing tend to require bigger screens. We've actually seen more companies start looking at iPad apps too, which is crazy to say. It's not just like 4-year-olds on iPads. It's like real creative professionals because people love to kind of draw on them. And it's a larger screen that enables kind of more knobs and dials.
Yeah.
What are you seeing on the monetization side for pure AI content creators? I know you track a lot of these accounts. I'm interested to see if some of these, again, like not just a content creator that might use AI here or there, but like a new content creator that only makes AI content, will they monetize via, influencer style marketing? Will they go straight to doing deals with, the Netflixes or other streaming platforms? But I'm curious what you think there.
Yeah, it's so early. It's hard to say. I think like how it started was people started growing these sort of AI only accounts and monetizing in the traditional ways, which was like ad revenue or kind of some share of the views you got on your video, things like that on platforms like X and TikTok and Instagram. I've also seen, honestly, a ton of the ways that AI creators monetize is by selling like prompts or courses or teaching other people how to make the same things, just because there's so much demand and most people are not experts at these tools. I think it's going to be really interesting to see like when we start to see more AI native IP or characters that can like appear in a Netflix show or have a song that they release on Spotify and they kind of get a cut of the streaming revenue. We've already started to see some of that, like that AI actress. And we've seen some in music too, especially in Asia, but I think we're just at the very early stages of that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Are you losing the ability to actually define a particular AI virality moment? Like the Lensa era was definitely a thing. Everyone had the magic avatars. The Studio Ghibli moment was a moment. Then maybe it was like the Sam Altman stealing GPUs era with Sora, but I feel like we're just now in like the Sora moment, and maybe it just becomes an era. But and the Italian brain rot, like are we accelerating? Are you feeling acceleration where you can't even track all the memes because they just happen so fast?
Yes, I used to keep basically the spreadsheet where I tracked like the number of impressions as far as I could guess from like certain trends or launches or announcements or things that would happen. And I gave up on it probably like 6 or so months ago because there were so many things happening at once. It was like Nano Banana and VO3 and Sora and like 2 new Chinese models that were amazing, and like the World Labs launch, like there were just 20 things happening like every day. And I think the interesting thing about that too is like different people are excited by different things. Like sometimes I talk to people who are really deep in AI creativity, but they're really into one part of it. And so they don't even know about the other launches because it's so hard to keep up with everything right now.
What was the Nano Banana?
They're using the Meta Vibes app too much. They can't. I'm sorry, I don't have time for anything else.
What was the Nano Banana like viral like moment or driver? Like what was the canonical like thing that you would prompt that Nano Banana did so well that made it really popular?
I mean, the interesting thing about Nano Banana was I think it wasn't just one prompt.
Yeah.
It was a series of them. There was like the Polaroids, putting yourself in a different era. And then there was making yourself an action figure. And then one I've been following this week on TikTok is like college kids are making videos of them like hugging their younger selves from an image that they create. Yeah, like with them and their younger self on Nano Banana.
What do you
like,
think of that? I'm not a fan.
I think it's nice. I mean, don't we all want to hug our younger self?
No, not at all.
I'd say toughen up.
Yeah.
Toughen up. Pull
but-
up the
but
bootstrap.
now that I'm
Pick
thinking
yourself
about
up
it,
by your bootstrap. I would make an AI. I would make an AI
Go into
video
the mat.
of my younger me picking myself up by my bootstrap.
There you go. Okay, so we're close there. We will be participating in like the next slight iteration of the viral sensation. But no, I won't be hugging myself. That feels very odd to me.
You can do a new one of you yelling at your younger self if you want. This is a free idea.
Or
to start
boxing.
this.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of these are odd. Stephen Hawking at the X Games is odd. A cat steamrolling its way through a house is odd. But I love most of those.
But it's important.
It is important.
Humanity needs these videos.
I think we do. I think we do.
No, laughing is important.
Yeah,
laughing is
creativity.
important.
It is creativity. Whoever prompted it was creative. I would not have thought to put Stephen Hawking at the X Games, and someone did.
Me neither.
What else are people talking about? What are the key like stress points? Are people worried about like AI bubble generally? Is it all just about like, let me find the most efficient inference arbitrage or inference provider, the best AI factory? Like what are the current discussions? I imagine it's not doom anymore. That one's kind of moved on.
Yeah.
What are people talking about at this particular conference?
Yeah, we actually had an investor panel earlier with a bunch of great folks kind of talking about those sorts of things. I think like the bubble question is an interesting one. Yeah. I personally don't think we're in a bubble. I think like just the true demand for the products is massive, and we're seeing companies grow faster than ever before and also retain users higher than ever before.
Yeah.
A lot of folks, like I'm sure you guys do, have questions about kind of gross margin. I think like we find that margins tend to improve over time, as you've seen in many eras of consumer software, like Amazon and Uber and DoorDash. Like a lot of these companies were gross margin negative or neutral at the beginning, and then kind of become more efficient over time as they scale and unlock various network effects. Yeah. I think where I would be worried we were in a bubble is if the margins were all negative and the retention sucked, because then it's like you're not actually building products that people want and you're raising a lot of money for it.
Or if there was only like 100,000 real users or something like that.
Totally.
Exactly.
Which we've seen before in different tech trends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, yeah, we just talked to Krea, like 30 million users is like very significant. Like, and ChatGPT close to 1 billion users. Like, it's just accelerating much faster, and the distribution is there. And it's a lot because like Stripe exists. Like you can just actually get $20 a month out of someone pretty easily, and you couldn't do that in 1999. It was just no way. And so you had to say, well, we'll monetize the eyeballs later and we'll do ads and people will pay. And it became this kind of weird circular economy. But now you can just be like, how much value am I delivering to your business? Put down your card and we'll pay for it, or churn, which is great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by during a busy conference.
Second
Always
ever podium guest.
Time chatting with you.
I'm honored. Thanks, guys.
Yes, we'd love to have you back.
Have fun at the event and give our best to everybody there.
Yes.
Will do.
And just so you know, we're coming for your lunch. We dropped our first market map. I don't know if you saw, but we dropped a media market map. So now we're in direct.
It's not
competition.
schizo at all.
It's not schizo at all.
You know, the competition fuels me, so I'm excited with
Yeah, fire
Fantastic.
back.
Yeah,
with
response.
with your own market map.
Yeah.
This is like a rap battle for people.
It's a map battle.
That
It's a map.
are
A rap
too
battle that
heavily-
like 5 people are interested in.
Yes, a rap battle for people who know how to read a term sheet or something. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. We will talk to you soon.
Great to see you.
Have a great
Cheers.
rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.
Goodbye.
We got to go over to this post from Marvin von Hagen, which is one of the most royal names
That's a sick
ever.
name.
This man is destined for greatness. He quoted the essay that I published yesterday, and just with 2 excerpts from my piece, he said, the Interaction Company of California has managed to really break through the noise and deliver a truly novel consumer AI product experience. ... Nothing important. Don't worry about it. Burkay.com itself is a fantastic domain and a name for their business and audience. So he just skipped over, of course, the
there's like a little
part
bit of
where
criticism in there or something?
No, yeah, I was criticizing the general sort of like naming convention, but this was an absolutely perfect response, and I really want to have Marvin on the show. So Marvin, let's get you on the schedule next week.
This is the nature.
This was like
working with
chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Perfect response. What's going on here? Austin says you should never use an M- in your writing anymore. You will be 100% be accused of using AI, especially if it's on social.
That is true. I actually recently, like today, in the newsletter, I used just a minus sign instead of an M-. And Brandon was like, certainly we can use the M- here. Like, you intended to use an M-. And I was like, no, we're using the minus sign. We're using the wrong thing because I don't want to deal with it's an M-. You used AI or whatever. So I have completely sacrificed it. But what does Alyssa Pumpkin Queen
She
say?
says that's what the dropping the M-. That's what the clankers want you to do. Surrender the M-. But by the grace of God, we will outmaneuver the clankers, sink our hands into their motherboards, and remind them what mankind can do. Let the clanker hold their position. We won't.
We won't.
So good. By the way, the chat wants us to do a conference.
Yes.
And Ben Sand says, I'd go to the conference, but we needed a TBPN cruise. I'm not joking. We've talked about getting a yacht to park in the San Francisco Bay and do a conference there. So I would like to pull that off at some point. And the chat will be the first to know. Ohio has a new bill that goes far beyond
clanker marriage.
far beyond banning human AI marriage. The measure would define AI systems as non-sentient entities, strip them of any claim to legal personhood, forbid them from owning property, holding financial accounts, controlling IP, or acting as company directors.
So it's basically game on if we get a humanoid. Like it has no rights in Ohio. So if we take it to Ohio, like the Unitree is going to be sitting there being like, hey guys, why are we going to Ohio? I'd love to stay in a different state because I would hate for you to like destroy me and then face no legal consequences because I have no rights in Ohio.
This Ohio clearly hasn't read Less Wrong.
It's not familiar with Rocco's Basilisk. Ohio might be the first place that the clankers descend on, and Skynet goes on.
They really put themselves in the crosshair, the clanker crosshairs.
On the aggressiveness.
Daniel Tenrero has.
Before we read this, let me tell you about Wander.com. Find your happy place. Book a Wander with inspiring reviews. Hotel grade amenities, dreamy beds, top tier cleaning, 24/7 concierge service. It's a vacation home, but better. What did Daniel say?
He says, finally some good news, which is that hedge fund assets hit $5 trillion with most inflows since before the financial crisis. Great hit, John. Assets in the global hedge fund industry have surged to a record $5 trillion as investors poured money into alternatives and funds posted solid gains.
Our gong is gifted today. You hear this, right?
It's still going.
It's still
going. Still going.
Is it
hedge
me
funds
or is it
saw
the
net
gong?
inflows of nearly $34 billion in the first 3 months through September, with total returns across all strategies averaging 5.4% over the quarter. So underperforming the average terminally online Zoomer that is just massively levered into the Mag 7.
Yeah.
But still not so bad as a whole. Cryptocurrency hedge funds posted solid double-digit gains in the third quarter, recovering from sharp losses in early 2025 to bring year-to-date performance to 6.7%. So
Can we play this clip of? It's probably too long to react to.
Buco
Jack
Capital,
Dorsey.
the legend, says, I'm always so confused when Tesla goes down on earnings as the business performance is completely irrelevant to the price of the stock. They put up over 1.4 billion, I think, of free cash flow as a $1 trillion company. So that's good.
They beat earnings.
Yes.
The stock went down? Is that what happened?
No. I think
They missed earnings and the stock went up? I don't know. I agree
No,
with
he's saying they missed, but
Okay.
and the stock traded down, and he's like, why is it traded down?
It shouldn't even matter.
be
It
connected.
shouldn't even matter.
Never bet against
Let's
Elon.
skip the Dorsey reaction. We got to get out of here. It's Friday. We got to start our weekend. Apparently, the sale of TikTok was a pawn sacrifice to open up the diplomatic chessboard. And Rune says it's pretty bad that Xi Jinping models TikTok as spiritual opium and feels okay selling it to the West in a revenge opium war setup. For Trump, facing the sale of the high-profile app was a populist victory framed around national security. For Xi Jinping, however, the app was a low-cost bargaining chip. He had privately dismissed it as spiritual opium, according to the people close to Beijing, and viewed it as easy sacrifice to secure the continued dialogue on China that China needed. That makes a ton of sense.
In
It is
more important geopolitical news, Justin Bieber is on Twitch. Michael Siebel says, almost 19 years after we got started, we finally got Bieber. So never give up. And this was, I think, my favorite post of the week. It's now been deleted. I won't read the user's name, but I think it's funny. It was a post that said, I honestly don't care if I get fired. I was part of the illegal gambling ring with Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier. My name is Andy Jassy, and I work at Amazon. So
these like fake framing someone who did something is so
shareholders.
So funny.
Shareholders are.
I didn't realize that like there was a retail army for Andy Jassy that cared about Andy Jassy and Amazon.
Yeah, it's tough when your stock goes up 20% year to date, and people are still like calling for you to be fired.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a good place to call it. We've had a fantastic.
No, you know where we're gonna call it?
Show. Where are we gonna call it?
We're gonna call it with Gabe over at Sora.
Okay.
Sora was dethroned in the App Store by Dave's Hot Chicken.
Play the wah.
And
Poor Sora.
and an eagle sound effect for Dave because something their team I think is just really cracked because I don't think this is the first time they've like charted #1.
I think most people think that the Dave's Hot Chicken team is like one notch above the OpenAI team
in terms of just product design, growth.
Yeah, just
retention,
IQ and strategy,
AI
research. Yeah, these types of things. I think most people think it's sort of like a hotbed of the best talent in the world.
Absolutely.
So I'm unsurprised. No, seriously, the Dave's Hot Chicken team must be cooking because something crazy happened in their marketing. Because to go to the top of the charts, even if it's momentum based, that means that they had some campaign that just hit. And it's not like it's the Super Bowl right now. Like they must have had some crazy call to action to get that app to the top of the store. But congratulations to everyone at Dave's Hot Chicken. I'm a huge fan. I order Dave's Hot Chicken all the time. Maybe I should get the app. I usually use DoorDash. Yeah.
Never ordered it to the Ultradome.
No, I haven't. But
more of a weekend thing.
More of a weekend thing. But Dave's Hot Chicken is awesome.
Well,
highly recommend.
It is almost the weekend.
Yeah.
Weekend for our East Coast audience. If you're on the West Coast, we're gonna
continue your lock in.
Please stay locked in at least until 5. Hopefully you're not leaving the office at 5 because it just looks bad.
Yeah.
It's like you just were hanging out.
Yeah.
Trying to get the optics in. But we had a really fun week. Next week is going to be wild as well. I think it's going to be a magnificent week.
I think so,
too. It's going to be absolutely magnificent.
I think it will be magnificent.
And I can't wait to be back. So have a wonderful Friday. Have a wonderful Saturday. Have a wonderful Sunday. We'll be counting down the hours until we are going live again on Monday. And thank you for tuning in.
Goodbye.
Cheers.